Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. There we go. We are live and back in. Good evening, Knowsley. Let's go 100% League. Yes, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Did you miss us? I'm sure you did. Can you believe it's been a week since the ups and downs of Mexico? And it has been a week of turmoil. The main story heading into this, apart from the fact it is pouring with rain, is the fact that Lucas Percy, the potential championship protagonist, has stepped down from the league full-time. So he has been replaced by Kieran SF1. That's right, the gentleman who has won God knows how many of the last races in a row. He has been demoted to the Sauber, which came to the surprise of, I think, about absolutely nobody. But yes, there he is in the Kick Sauber. Only 16 tonight, unfortunately, for the 100% League. Austria Reverse not proving popular with the drivers. I need to go grab my controller. It is not on my, not with me, so let me just go quickly grab that. There we go, we've got my controller. I forgot I was leaving it on charge, and the weather is not being favourable. So yes, this is Austria Reversed. Hello, Kieran. Austria Reversed is underway tonight. 100% 51 laps of Austria Reversed. So the traditional overtaking spots, well, Turn 3, the former Turn 3, is definitely where you're going to go for the overtake, and potentially the former Turn 1. I don't think we're going to see many moves into the new Turn 1, purely because it is going to be quite a difficult overtake. It's very difficult to overtake when you're going side by side into quite a high-speed corner. Because obviously now the old last corner is now a very quick left-hander. Not the easiest to overtake on. Gingervage says, Happy Octopus Day. Yes, the 8th of the 8th. No, it's not 8th of the 10th. Why did I say the 8th? Why are we... Okay. But yes, we are back in Austria. Lovely track. No wildcards tonight. It is just pure racing, 71 laps. So yes, as I was saying, Lucas Percy has stepped down. Kieran SF1 has taken his place. Kieran on a run of victories at the moment. And we also have... so it's just now down to Equaz and Reflection. And they are both in it tonight. Now, obviously, Reflection did say last week he is not going to be able to race at some point. So he needs to make good while he can. And I think he is 9 points clear of Equaz at the top of the standings. So he has done a fantastic job there. But he will be missing a race. So he needs to try and extend his championship lead to the best of his ability. And can Kieran vault his way up the grid to potentially end this season at P3 in the championship? We'll have to wait and see. Marsky, first driver out, as always, in the Ferrari. He's going to be the first one to try and take a lap of this very wet reversed Austria at a reasonable pace. Although we do already have split strategy, some on full wets, some on intermediates. Reflection, one of those on the Inters, Legend on the full wet. So the driver's not quite sure yet. There's no full consensus of whether or not it's wet or dry. Well, no, it's not dry. Don't know if it's sort of wet or intermediate weather. So that is the consensus, not quite there yet for the drivers. Marsky climbing the hill up towards one of the DRS zones. Of course, we have still the 3 DRS zones on this track. They are the 3 DRS zones where they normally are. You just activate them at different points and you close them at different points, given the reversed nature of the track. So Marsky now coming down into what was Turn 3. We've got the Mercedes of Reflection just in front of him, but I don't think Reflection is going to be much of an issue. In fact, he might be able to give the Ferrari a bit of a tow. As Marsky comes down the hill again, down towards the old Turn 1. We'll see what the first lap time is on the board. What is it going to be for Marsky? Obviously, in the wet, the best way to do it is just to keep lots of fuel in your car. Just keep going round and around, do a few push-call laps, just because the track is going to be continually evolving, and it's going to be a 1:18.6 from Marsky. To start us off, how is Kieran SF1 doing? He's up in the middle sector, 59.3 at the moment, but I think it is going to be Legend next across the line. Legend rounds the old Turn 1 up to the line for Legend. Is he going to beat Marsky's provisional pole time? No, misses out by half a tenth, as Gingervage's got a 5-second penalty for a 5-place grid penalty for hitting Vessier. Kieran has gone fastest, 17.3, so that might be the sign that the Inters are the best tyre to be on at this stage in qualifying. Mad Max is on the full wet, so as he's moving down towards the end of Sector 1, throwing it through the chicane, which is very jarring trying to do the track in reverse, because obviously you could do the tracks in reverse if you wanted to, but obviously if you do it the normal track backwards, the game tries really hard to spin you back round, so traction can become really hard. So it's actually quite jarring to do this track normally reversed, as he's climbing the hill is Mad Max. Kieran stepping up a bit, and there it goes again, and that's him into the wall. So that is going to be not only this lap binned off, but I think this entire run binned off. Really struggling there to keep it. Did he pick up any wing damage? I don't think he did. Nothing that is visible to the naked eye, but that is Mad Max's that's his run over. I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw himself back into the pits for a set of inters, given the fact that Kieran has slapped in a 17.3. Reflection now slapped in a 17.9. So Reflection championship leader, 0.6 off of Kieran, but he is clear of Marsky by 0.7. So yeah, it is probably the sign that the Inters are the faster tyre. I mean, we know Kieran and Reflection are some of the best drivers on this grid, but still, that is a healthy gap. Well, Legend has done a 17.3 on the full wets. Kieran has improved to a 17.1, but Legend potentially throwing a needle, cat amongst the pigeons here, going to a 17.3, improving to within, or just over 2.5 tenths off the pole time, who is on a set of intermediates. So Kieran here proving that maybe the Inters not necessarily the completely fastest tyre. Evening Wook, hello, Stewie Mushroom. So Legend here, maybe throwing cat amongst the pigeons here, proving that maybe it doesn't really matter what tyre on. Vessier continuing on. RTB is going to do a 18 flat, so RTB up into P4. Again, a good lap from him. So maybe it is just going to be down to driver preference, whether it is Inters or wets. Vessier is on the Inters. We'll see how he does. He just passed his teammate of Lewis Riley. Vessier climbing down the hill, 59 flat, middle sector. That is very competitive from the Aston Martin. Purple sector 2 according to the game, but we know the game likes to give sector 2, purple sector 2s to everyone and anyone. Oh, also like to point out, Knowsley is now in the V-Guard. So there's been a little switcheroo at the Saubers. Vessier up the line, 17.1. Wow! 2 milliseconds off the back of Kieran, so that is a great lap there from Vessier. Mentioned on a cool lap. Marsky put himself up to P4 on a 17.8, continue going around on those full wet tyres. Liam has invalidated. Equaz has joined us. Equaz finally out of the pits. Tori has invalidated. Lewis Riley is on a push lap now. Yes, he is. His first lap did not count for anything. And Knowsley coming to the end of his lap, 59.1. Good first sector from the V-Carb driver. Let's see if he's moved to V-Carb can prove dividends for him. Up to the line for Knowsley. He goes P4 with him, 17.5. Very nice job there from Knowsley in the V-Carb, getting used to that slightly quicker car. Of course, he was in the Kick Sauber, so the V-Carb is going to be a bit of an upgrade for him. He might have never felt such grip before. Liam is pushing on in the first sector. Tori is on as well. Let's see Lewis Riley, see what his second sector. We're looking at the low 59s for it to be up there into the realms of the top 3. That's what he needs at the moment. He's coming out of the former turn 3. What's his second sector split looking like? Slight wiggle on the rear. 58.8. That is a very good middle sector from Lewis Riley. So this could be quite a competitive lap. Could definitely put him in the realms of Legend or Knowsley, potentially ahead of Marsky. Lewis around the final corner, really throwing it around the final corner. Reflection has gone to a 17.1 on the intermediates. Lewis Riley around the final corner does 17 flat on the full wet tyres. He has absolutely smashed everyone out of the park with a time that is a tenth better, but Kieran is up by a country mile. Kieran runs up to the line. This could be a massive lap here from Kieran SF1. It is a 15.7, puts him well clear of Lewis Riley. Lewis Riley's original pole did not last very long, but Kieran has absolutely smashed it out of the park, 1.3 seconds quicker, and that makes you think about whether or not it is time for the Inters. Legend has improved again to a 16.9, so he's consistently improving, is the Hash driver, but he's not anywhere near Kieran's pole time. We'll see now what can Equaz do in the other Hash Championship protagonist. As I said, 9 points off, but with still a very good shot at winning this championship. We'll have a look now as it comes into the braking zone of turn 4, climbing now up the hill. This is where the DRS would be activated if the conditions allowed it. Obviously, conditions far from ideal for DRS. That is why it is deactivated. The rear wing will stay shut for the duration of this session, most likely, unless we get some really quick change in weather. Equaz rounds the former turn 3. What's his middle sector looking like? It is a 58.2, not bad at all from the Toyota driver. We've got Toyota on the car. From the Hash driver, Equaz coming down the hill into the old turn 1. What can he do? Throws it around the corner slightly wide of the apex. What can he do? ERS up the line. It's looking like a pretty good lap from Equaz. He does a 16.2, gets himself P2, half a second off of Kieran, but he's quickly pipped to the line by Vessier on the intermediates. I do think maybe the time is now to switch on to the intermediates, because they are consistently proving to be quicker. Ginger Rage has invalidated, unfortunately for him, after his collision earlier with Vessier that gave him a 5-place grid penalty. Mad Max in the Williams goes wide out of the old turn 3 and invalidates his lap. That is his lap done. Let's see, will he dive into the pit lane? No, it doesn't look like he will. Looks like he'll keep going. Obviously, given the wet conditions, I know he's diving into the pit lane. Of course, this pit lane entrance is very difficult because you are going downhill, and Mad Max proves that as he taps the wall with his front right. You're going downhill, and you're going around to the left. It's quite a blind pit lane entrance. Ginger Rage is going to be pushing on again with a hopefully better lap reflection. What's he looking like? He's up by 1.2 seconds. That would give him a 15.9. That puts him the closest to Kieran so far. What can Reflection do as he comes into turn 1? Can he halt Kieran's march to dominance? It has been very dominant from Kieran so far. Reflection comes up to the line. Can he get anywhere close to the Kicksauber? He can. He beats Kicksauber by a tiniest of margins, but Kieran is up by half a second himself. So Reflection, this might be a very short-lived provisional pole for the championship leader. Kieran round the final corner. What can he do up to the line in the new green Kicksauber? Kieran up to the line. Is it going to be a 1:15? It's a 15 flat. He pushes the bars up by 7/10 of a second. The bar is now very hard to hit, and that is on the same intermediate tyres he's been running for the whole session. All these guys doing plenty of laps on their intermediates. Ginger Rage is going again. What's his second sector split time looking like for the Red Bull driver? Minute 1, not a great middle sector for Sean, but it is his first lap on these intermediate tyres, so you've got to give him time to acclimatise into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Easy to very much easy just to run wide and invalidate, but he doesn't do so up to the line with that beautiful little pink helmet. From Ginger Rage up to the line, it is a 18.4, puts him P11, slowest of those that have set a lap so far. Vintage in the McLaren, he's about to start a lap. He's done 2 preparation lap. 21.0 is his reward. Obviously not a quick lap because he has not done a proper push lap with ERS. Knowlesley as well continuing to push on. We have a Mercedes coming up to the line of Reflection. He's into the pits probably for a new set of intermediate tyres and to refuel. His teammate for tonight, Rocket Lee, is on the full wets. He's gone a bit wide out of the last corner, but has kept it valid, so well done to Rocket Lee, although he's still on full wet tyres. I think the general consensus is going to be the intermediates. Mad Max as well is continuing to push on the intermediate. So we have 2 drivers on the wets, Liam and Rocket Lee, and Tori, who is doing a fantastic job in that Williams, but I think he's about to potentially come into the pits because I do think the intermediates are now the better tyre. Vessier wrestling the car through turn 2, massively respectful there from the Aston Martin to get it done with a lovely luminous green helmet that matches his luminous green accents on that car. Very nice livery from Aston, I think, this year. I think most people think it's a downgrade, but I do quite like it. I like the white on the top. I am a sucker for white liveried cars. Liam going very slowly down the back straight there. Lets McLaren go. Is he going to come into the pits? He might be as the Haas goes through as well. No, he's going to continue on. So a couple of drivers still continuing on with the wet tyres. It could be just down to preference. If they feel like the wet tyre is going to give them a little bit more grip, a little bit more satisfaction. Obviously still plenty of time to go in this session before you go on to intermediates if you want to, as Liam does a 38.2, which I can assure you is not a representative lap time considering the fact he was pretty much stationary for half of the back straight. Rocket Lee, what's he going to do in that Mercedes on the full wet tyres? Not a great middle sector from the Mercedes driver, and he goes to absolute Narnia around the last corner. I don't know how he kept that valid, but Rocket Lee now up to the line. What can he do? It is going to be a 1:19.9, puts himself P13. Sean has improved to 17.9. I didn't miss that. Apologies, Sean, but well done to that. After that lap, Mad Max is on again, so Serious Matcham out on full wets as well. So the full wet tyre not falling out of favour with everyone. I thought by now there would be more of a general consensus for the Inters, but people still chugging around on the full wets, and Tori is still improving. We have some traffic up the road in the form of the Alpine of R2 Beat, the only Alpine racing tonight. Tori comes down the hill. What's his second sector looking like? He is up by 3/10, but he hasn't got much fuel in his car. He might be getting a little bit of a cheeky toe there from R2 Beat as the Williams comes up to the line. Tori, a 3/10 improvement would put him ahead of Equars. What can he do around the final corner? Very nicely done there for the Williams. Again, getting a lovely toe from R2 Beat. R2 Beat crosses the line and goes P4, but that is taken by Tori immediately into the 15s for the Williams driver, but he's low on fuel. He will need to get into the pits and soon. As the legend puts himself P2, 15 flat, nearly beats Kieran's time, misses up by 9 thousandths of a second. The times are tumbling, so if you're on the full wets, I, for one, would be getting yourself into the pit lane. As who was that just popping up? That was... It might have been the other Williams of Mad Max, I think it was. He popped up in the 7th on a 16.1. So drivers still finding a lot of time out there. Equaz is up by nearly a second in the first sector alone. That is the power of new intermediate tyres over wet tyres. Equaz is sector 2. Let's see what he is going to be able to do on that in the Haas. He's up by 1.5 seconds, which would put him very much in the hunt for provisional pole. He could, in fact, get it. Oh no, he's into the pits. Wow, that is a surprise. Equaz was absolutely flying out there. He was up for potential provisional pole, and he decided to dive into the pits. Maybe he wants a very fresh set of intermediate tyres for the end of the session. He would have time, I think, to get that done. Who was that popping up? That was Marski putting himself P6. Good job there from the Ferrari driver. Legend continuing on his inters. He's doing a call up. He's got a full battery. Reflection is pushing on. He's got Ferrari deciding to take a very wide line through turn 3 and decides to park it nearly in the barriers. I think did a reset to track there. He might be in trouble for that. He's up by a 10th. Is Reflection purple sector 2, but you'll need a lot more than a 10th if he wants to challenge Kieran. In fact, a 10th improvement for Reflection. It doesn't even put him any higher than P4. What can Reflection do as he comes up to the line? Can he go any higher on the second row? He does improve, but stays P4, improves to a 15.4. So he wasn't far off Vessier's time in the end, but he unfortunately was not able to pip the Aston Martin driver. I think everyone into the pits, Mushroom into the pits. He's done his side lap. Liam into the pits as well. That might be a bit of a tight call for Liam, but whether or not he can get back out again. Equaz is coming out the pit lane now, so he will have one and done. He will have one time lap left to get it done. Reflection, I'm assuming, is on a call lap. Yes, he is using none. Legend, though, is he on a call lap? No, he's not. He's on the push lap. He's using that battery. And to be fair, this might be his last push lap. If he wants to go for a call lap next time round, this will be his last push lap because there won't be enough time on the clock, or will there? He might be a bit close here, Legend. He might be able to do this lap, do a call lap, and then go for another push lap. In fact, I think he has timed this almost to perfection because I think it could be last across the line, gets best of the conditions, could be the driver on pole. He's up by half a second. Kieran is up by 7/10 though, so Legend up to the line. He's going to have perfect time again to go for another push lap. So he might have timed this to perfection. The Legend, the Haas driver, who's had a very poor luck so far this season. Is this about to change in Austria? The hills are alive with the sound of a Legend with a 14.3 provisional pole. Goes to the Haas driver, and he will just about have enough time to go again with a call lap. Kieran, though, this will be his last attempt at pole. He's only up by 2/10, but that is only sector 1. If he can replicate that in sector 2 and 3, he will be in the hunt for pole position yet again in that Kick Sauber. They can't put him in any car, it seems, that can stop him. Might as well put him in an F2 car at this point, because nothing is stopping Kieran. And he's up by the 7/10 he would need to take Legend's pole off of him, but this will be his last push lap unless he has the ERS to go again, and I don't think he will. And if he does, he'll have to be quite conservative with it. But who knows, maybe the track acclimatization could help him up to the line. For Kieran, it's going to be a 14.1. A good improvement there from the Kick Sauber driver. Puts him back on provisional pole on those very old intermediate tyres. But he will not have time to go again. So he needs to make good on this lap and hope he doesn't get too caught up in the back of Equaz in the Haas, who is also on his final lap. So this will be it for most people. After beat, he's timed it well. He's got 20 seconds left on the clock. Has Legend timed it right? I think he has. Yeah, he will have got round just about in time. Has Tori got round in time though? No, I don't think he. Oh no, I don't think he has. And he's on full wet tyres, so that could be Tori's session over. I think it is going to be Tori's session over. 5 seconds left on the clock. What about Liam in the Ferrari? Liam is also definitely not making it round. So Mad Max and Liam have, Tori and Liam have not timed this well at all. Ginger Rage has invalidated his final lap. So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Kieran is just about within his. Sector 1 time, but he doesn't have quite as much battery, but he will be getting a tow from Equaz. We'll keep an eye on Equaz as Vessier goes P2. We'll keep an eye on Equaz, championship protagonist. He needs higher than P12. He's up by 1.5 seconds, 1 corner to go for the Haas driver. He can't afford to mess this up, or he will start 12th, and that will not be good for him. Round the final corner up to the line for Equaz. Can he find any higher than 12th? Can he get to the top 10? He can, P5, but he's behind his championship rival of Reflection, who is not pushing. So Reflection in a Haas sandwich at the moment. Kieran, of course, improved. Knowlesley is up by nearly 2 seconds. Can he get up? As I think that was, who was that popping up? I think that was Marski popping up to P7. Good job there from Marski. Knowlesley up to the line. Can he get higher in a 13th? Can he get himself into the top 10? He can. P6. Nice lap there from the V-Cub. Lewis Avani up by half a second. Can he find himself on potentially the second row or higher up to the line for the Aston Martin driver? Can he do it up to the line? It's going to be a 14.3. P4 for him. Really, really good job. But can Legend take pole back? He's up by 0.4 of a second. Is this Legend's pole? It is! It's a 13.8. Can Reflection stop him? No, Reflection in the pits. And it is NSR Legend who timed it to perfection, who will take pole position here in Austria this evening. Very well done to Legend. He timed that to perfection. He takes pole by just over 0.3 of a second. He'll be joined in the front row by Kieran, who I'm sure won't be too disappointed to start P2. Is an all Aston second row, Vessier and Riley, with Reflection P5 and Equaz P6. The championship protagonists will share the third row of the grid. And if that doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. Yeah, good evening, Howsey. Hello, Equaz. Yes, Legend is well on pole. Your teammate, fantastic job. Legend, what a lap indeed. Fantastic job. I said he hasn't had much luck. This could be about to change this evening. What a lap from Legend that has got him pole position. Trying to do my best Sean impression there. Well done to NSR Legend for what is a truly fantastic lap. We will run through your order right now. Legend will start on pole. Kieran will start second. Vessier leads the Aston Martin for an all Aston second row. Third row is Reflection and Equaz. They line up next to each other. R2 Beat, Knowsley, Marsky and Rocket Lee round out your top 10. It is Tory, then Ginger Rage, but he does have a 5-place grid penalty. Mad Max 13th, Vintage 14th, Liam 15th, Mushroom 16th, not setting a lap time, so it could be, if that 5-place penalty stands, an all Red Bull back row. We'll be back shortly with the on-track action here. Don't go anywhere. In fact, if you want to go anywhere, get yourself a drink, because this is going to be a spicy one. And they say, the saying is, rain, rain, go away, come back another day. It has not. The rain has continued to fall here in Spielberg. You can see in the McLaren garage, intermediate tyres, and spoiler alert, that's normally the tyres the driver's going to be starting on. We'll have a look, see if that is true. As the formation laps gets underway, it looks like it, as they're all a bit confused by the fact it is still raining. It is a full inters start for everyone. That's going to change it up a bit. That means we have to have a general consensus. Is it going to dry up? Is it going to get wetter? Is it going to stay like this for the whole race? Maybe that explains why Kieran decided to do his entire qualifying on one set of intermediate tyres. So yes, this is going to be an interesting one. I don't know the forecast. I don't really want to know the forecast, because we don't want to get it all spoiled for people. As Legend, as I said, weaves his way through the Spielberg countryside, as Kieran is really trying to warm up those intermediate tyres. Not sure that's the best way to do it. But we will once again go through the grid, because it has changed a wee bit. So Legend and Kieran are your row 1. Row 2 are the two Astons of Vessier and Lewis. Reflection and Equaz are two championship protagonists, share row 3. R2 Beat and Knowsley are on row 4. Marsky and Rocket Lee in row 5. Good job from Rocket Lee, who's subbing in tonight. There is an All Williams 6th row of Tory and Mad Max. Vintage is 13th, Liam is 14th, and the two Red Bulls round out the grid. Ginger Rage going from 12th to 16th with his 5-place grid penalty. So the rain has not gone away, it has stayed, and it is bucketing it down here in Spielberg. What is going to be the weather conditions? What spanner in the works could they possibly throw into the mix? Who is going to come out on top? Is it going to be Reflection? Is it going to be Equaz? Can Kieran beat Legend? All these questions we need to know the answer to, and we're going to find out at the end of 71 laps here in Spielberg, as Mushroom and Ginger Age, two Red Bulls line astern, will be lining up at the back of the grid. Those are your strategies if it stays wet, either no stop or one stop, which is going to show you the longevity of these Inter's tyres. Of course, Pirelli doesn't normally give us the weather forecast, so that is if it stays wet, an intermediate level for the entire race. Toy has failed to line up properly, and Kieran has done what he does best, and is actually reversing on the grid to try and line up with Legend. Wow, that is very pointy. I didn't realise you could reverse on the grid, but here you go. Learning something new every day. And we're about to learn off 71 laps who is going to be the winner We go to the third, then the fourth, and then there are 5. It's lights out and we are underway in Austria, and it's a very good start from Kieran there. He might have been able to get the jump on Legend. It looks like he has. He's got the jump with that very pointed start. Vestiaire up the inside, Reflection as well. A good start. Trying to go knock into the back of the hat. He's got a bit wide there. That could let his championship rival through. It does. Reflection's good start is undone, and Kieran has done what he does best. Takes the lead. Vestiaire and Legend fighting. Reflection goes very wide out of turn 2. That can potentially lose him more places. There is an all has third and fourth, but Kieran has bolted the yellow flag further down the grid. I think it is for Rocket Lee, who was going slowly. He dropped a lot of positions. Unfortunately there for him, but Kieran has bolted into the sunset already at the end of midway through lap 1. R2B is fighting with Lewis Riley for P5, P6. Critically for the championship, Reflection has fallen down to P7. He had a good start, but went wide at turn 1, and his championship rival is P4. Reflection now looking at the back of the Alpine and the Aston, who are fighting side by side for 5th place. So not a good start there from Lewis Riley in the other Aston Martin. Of course, the Astons were sharing the second row of the grid, and now he's fighting hard as they come into the old turn 3. There's a little bit of a lock up there from Reflection. He doesn't quite know what the other cars or drivers are doing. He's obviously quite unsure, as everyone is going wide through turn 3. They can't quite get their braking zones pinned down yet. They may have just been driving in the rain, but it's very different when your car is a lot heavier and you are dealing with slightly different conditions. Reflection potentially going to go for a move up into the old turn 1. He's locked up his front tyres. Can't quite get it done. I think Tory might have run into the back of him there in the Williams. This can give Knowsley the run down the start-finish straight. Kieran, of course, fastest man on track, but Vestiaire is holding on to the back of that Kick Sauber. Ginger Rage gets passed by Marsky, and Rocket Lee as well goes black up the inside as Sean takes out a braking marker just for good measure. No one gets to break into that corner. As Knowsley, Tory is slow. Tory has made a mistake out of turn 2. He has gone round. Can't see any visible wing damage, but that is Tory undone there at the start. So unfortunate there for him, but out front it is still. Oi, what was that? Like Liam going sideways. I think it is there. Still squabbling down here at the bottom end of the field. And Mark goes right around the outside of his teammate. And serious question, sliding him out. No rear grip on that red ball. Marsky up the inside. Is he going to get the move done? No, he backed out of it for now. They all are squabbling very hard back here. Meanwhile, Kieran retains the lead. Vestiaire not letting him get out of sight too quickly. We've had 2 races now in a row of rain. We had Austria, we had Mexico in the rain, and Ginger Rage touched the grass, and he had to take avoiding action there. He's going to keep it out the wall, just about touch the grass there, and of course when you touch the grass in this game, good luck braking or turning, or really doing anything, because that is the effect of grass on your tyres. Kieran up the line is going to set another fast lap of the race. 17-1. He's only 5 tenths clear of Vestiaire. Of course, no DRS is enabled. It is raining. So Vestiaire will not have the benefit of the drag reduction system at this stage in the race. He's followed there by the 2 Hasses, who are yet to swap positions. Lewis Avali down in P5. He's fallen quite a way off the back of these top 4, and critically, Reflection it looks like he's in no position to get after the Alpine of R2B to start clawing back positions. So as things stand, it will be a swing for Equaz in Equaz's favour in this championship. As Tory and Lee are fighting very hard down the grid, fighting very hard. It's going to look like Rocket Lee has come out on top. Oh no, Tory dives out the inside, gives Rocket Lee a bit of a nudge there just for good measure, and he's ahead of the Mercedes driver. So very, very strong battling there for P13. Rocket Lee down to P14, and he has Liam all over him. They're all sliding their way through. No one really appears to have much grip in these conditions, as you'd expect in the rain. But they are continuing on. Lovely helicopter shot over the track for this. You've got the vintage there. I think it's being a bit of a cork in the bottle as Liam goes into the back of Rocket Lee, and he has damaged his end plate there. I saw the front of the end plate sort of spew off. An explosion of carbon fibre. The front right end plate has left the Ferrari. Kieran fastest round again on track, but he's still got Vestiaire within a second. Top 4 not letting the Kick Sauber get out and have a massive advantage. Liam with wing damage. Can Mushroom get past Vintage? He's in the section, he's using his battery. This is very difficult. I'm taking spot unless you're really committed, and Mushroom is committed, and he's committed up the inside. He's gone a bit deep though on the exit. Is it going to be Vintage getting back through? Vintage does get him back through. As Tory and Rocket Lee continue fighting. Mushroom a bit of a collision with McLaren. Can he get it? Can he keep it ahead? No. He's going to. Oh, careful there. Mushroom got Marsky on the outside. Coming from the background noise. People in Dorking clearly think that we will need to have big engines. But out front, it is still Kieran, who just about has the legs over Vessier to just about keep him. Legend slightly dropping back from the top two. I wonder if we'll see some team orders down at Haas, because this is a fantastic opportunity for Equaz to take the championship, not necessarily the lead, but to swing it back into very close proximity to his title rival. But the top two starting to pull away a bit. Riley falling off the back, but still proving to be pretty strong, given the fact he is still clear of beat. And Reflection, as I said, stuck in P7. This could be Equaz's big break, as Vintage already picked up a 3-second penalty for track limits, as well as Liam, I believe, as well. We might put it at the same time, which is why we didn't get it, yes. As Vessier now the fastest man on track, and he is in the real tracks of the Kickstarter, apart from through turn 1, where he decides to go for a nice leisurely excursion. And there's lost a bunch of time. Obviously, clearly tried to lift off to make sure he didn't get a warning. As we know in this game, if you don't get if you lift off enough, you don't get a warning. And wow, they are throwing these cars through the sector 1 here in reverse Austria. You see the rear end just on the edge of grip, on the limit of adhesion. We've got to be careful not to overheat these tyres, because of course these guys are following each other very closely, which overheats the engine and can have negative effects on the tyres, which could explain why we are seeing quite a lot of rear sliding. Of course, once you slide in the rears and they start overheating, fun fact, unless it rains heavily, you're not really going to get them to cool down, so you've got to be very careful with rear tyre temps at this track. I'm sure the drivers are feeling pretty well skewed with it though, because of course they've done a lot of practice here at Austria. As always, a bit of a wiggle there from Legend out of turn 3. Knowsley picks up a 3-second penalty for track limits transgressions. Only on lap 5, this could be another Kota where we have a lot of track limits penalties in this race. Vessier has fallen back a bit though on this lap from Kieran. Hasn't been a strong track there from Vessier. He's now over a second back. Kieran puts himself clear with a 16 flat. He was 1.1 seconds quicker than Legend on that lap. So I think Kieran now used to that Kickstarter, used to the conditions, used to how his car is feeling, starting to stretch his legs a bit, and Legend is starting to ease up onto the back of Vessier. Is Vessier starting to struggle with those rear tyre conditions, potentially, as Legend continues on? He's just about there or thereabouts, as I think, yes, Kieran has stretched his legs in that Kickstarter. He's now a second and a half clear, which will probably actually end up helping Vessier, because he won't be in dirty air as much, as Vintage has potentially finally been done in by Mushroom. I think he has. Vintage, the cork in the bottle, he's finally been overtaken, and I think Marsky might be having a look as well. He's having a look, and Vintage has gone very, very wide, and that is the Ferrari through and the Williams Vittori. And if he's not lucky, if he's not careful, it will be the Mercedes and Rocket Lee as well. Vintage rounds the top of the hill, climbing the hill as he does. Vintage climbing now down 3 positions since the start of the lap. No other particularly close battles. I think Rocket Lee might be having a go here as well. But be careful, this is a very tight corner, and Rocket Lee's already lost control. He's round. Rocket Lee rear locks those rear tyres. He's round, jumps down the verge and back on track, but he's now dead last in this race. See the frustration there, wheeling a bit, because Rocket Lee frustrated with his mistake. He had a good chance there to get up the inside of Vintage, and he squandered it too heavy on the brakes. Rears locked, and around he went. But Kieran is very well clear now. Vessier and Legend is now right on the back of the Aston Martin. So Vessier is going from the hunter to the hunted as they continue up the hill. So Vessier now looking more behind than he's ahead. The gap nearly 2 seconds out front. Legend on the back of the Aston Martin, and a fantastic job he's been done. He may have started on pole, maybe down to 3rd, but he might be about to make right on that with an overtake on the Aston. Rain is still falling here. I'm not really seeing any easing off of the rain. Ginger Rage got past Vintage, so Vintage really struggling in these conditions. So Vintage now down to last. Kieran though is out in 1st, and he's just about keeping that gap at about 1.7 to 1.8 seconds over the Aston Martin, as Knowsley picks up another 3-second penalty. He's on 6 seconds of penalties on only 7 laps, so that is concerning for him, considering we still have another, 64 laps to go, about to be 63 as Kieran crosses the line. Yeah, it's probably not good, as he does a 15.9. So Kieran is still improving, but we're not seeing a massive uptick in lap time. So that makes me think we're not seeing much track improvement. They're not getting much of a dry line out there. In fact, you can't really see the dry line at the moment. You can't really see that darker patch of track where the drivers have been able to forge a dry line just by continually running over it. You can sort of see the wheel tracks, but you know that you're starting to dry up when you start to see the thick, proper patch that you can easily determine as part of the racing line. You can't see at the moment. Although I will say there isn't a lot of spray being kicked up. There's not a lot of spray coming off the back of these cars. So definitely into his conditions, but we are, I mean, we're not a million miles away off our quali times, which we were into. Did a 14.7 was the quali, was pole from Legend, and Kieran just did a 15.9. So we're considering the amount of fuel that they're going to be running compared to qualifying. These conditions are not, I think, the worst that they've experienced this evening. I do love on this track how you go through some corners, you can see the other cars on the track. I do love that. Like Suzuki, you go under the tunnel after the two Degners. You can see people on the bridge above going up towards 130R. Kieran runs the final corner. I think it's going to be another fastest lap of the race for Kieran. Really trying to stretch his legs now in that salvo. It's going to be 15.6. He improves by 3/10 over his personal best. So we are seeing improvements in lap time. Vessier got nothing to say about it, and he is falling further and further back. But Legend, at the moment, nothing he can do because, of course, no DRS. So he's got nothing he can do to really stop or get past Vessier, bar a mistake from the Aston Martin driver. Two Hasses are in synchronization on lap 971. Equaz does run the risk of losing out big time though. If there's a safety car and they will want to pit, he will have to double stack with his teammate, and although it wouldn't be the end of the world, it would cost him time because Lewis Riley is 2.3 seconds back, and I can assure you double stack costs you more than 2.5 seconds. So that would be the only thing that Equaz needs to look out for if we do have an early safety car, but it could be to the point that the safety car at this point doesn't really compel anyone to pit, because according to Pirelli you can do the whole race on a single set of Pirellis, which I think is quite impressive, but it does again depend on that rear tyre pressure, that rear tyre temps, because once those temps start spiking they don't stop. But Legend falling off the back a bit this lap. Equaz is keeping a watchful eye over his teammate and P2. You can see in the background there, Nosey charging down the hill with 6 seconds of penalties already. Kieran, no improvement on the fastest lap this time around. Equaz up the line does improve his PB by two and a bit tenths. So drivers are getting used to the track conditions, getting used to their cars, their setup, seeing how everything's working. Going to start seeing some time improvement, but we're not seeing the track improvement. There's no letting in the rain at the moment. Quickly at the moment, we never know what's going to happen. We might see though Rocket Lee getting overtake done on Vintage. He's on the back of the McLaren. McLaren is harvesting. Rocket Lee up the inside. Can he get it done this time? I think he can. He's well past the McLaren by the time they get into the braking zone of turn 1. And Rocket Lee is into the points once again. So he's not quite there, but you can see Ginger Rage just up the road to potentially give him that point. And I do think we're going to probably see a few lap cars this race, given Kieran's inherent speed and also the fact this is quite a short circuit. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how lap cars could potentially play into it. Vessier still improving. So the drivers are improving as they get used to this track, but they are just not being given the opportunity to change tyres given the track conditions. And again, I don't know the weather forecast, so I don't know if it's going to stay wet, if it's going to dry up. I don't know any of the ins and outs of it all. So, yes, we will wait and see what the weather gods have in store for us. Equaz, again, still watching on the back of his teammate, and R2B as well, watching the back of the Aston of Lewis Riley, but nothing doing for R2B quite yet. No, he hasn't really looked like he's been in a position to really challenge the Aston Martin at any point this evening. So yes, R2B on the back. These guys have dropped Reflection a little bit. Reflection not liking these wet conditions at all in the slightest, and it's going to help Equaz massively in the title hunt as things stand. Equaz, in fact, is getting right off the back of his teammate, who's fallen off the back of Vessier quite dramatically. So it could be seeing a swap for position here. It might be that Equaz gets through, see if he can have a go at the Aston Martin. Speaking of Aston Martins, Lewis Riley suddenly has R2B all over his backside, and I thought the rain was drying up there. It is not. The rain is still coming down, potentially slightly less intense. No, it has stopped. It has stopped raining just about here at Austria, so the wet conditions are going to cease, and Equaz is already into the pits. Rain has just stopped and he's already in the pits. Surely not for a dry set of tyres. It has to be though. We're going to go for another set of intros with. It is a set of the medium tyre. Really? The rain has only just stopped. So lap times haven't improved that much. I mean, Kieran has just gone quickest, but we're not seeing a massive improvement. This is a bit of a surprise here. He's going to come out in clean air. He's going to come out ahead of Mushroom. But that is a very early pit stop. We'll see if that pays off for Equaz. He's also lost a bit of his front wing. So championship protagonist here might be in a bit of jeopardy. He has come out just ahead of Mushroom. But no, that is not ready for slick tyres. That is, oh dear, Equaz. Especially has not been a strong point this season. And I think he just proved it once again. Because he got passed by Mushroom there. And I think if Mars can get blast past him, which I think he is, because the Hattie has got no grip at all. And Equaz has made the wrong choice. He has paid for his crime of jumping straight onto... I thought it was too soon. Vintage is pitted right onto hard tyres. Vintage might even more be screwed because he's on hards. And Equaz has been overtaken by Tori as well. He's got no grip at all because it's only just stopped raining. And then he dives straight into the pits. So that is a massive surprise. Kieran improves to a 15 flat. So obviously the track is improving. Lewis Riley decided that he also tastes the pie, even though we've just seen Equaz lose a bunch of time. So Lewis Riley in onto a set of medium, so that'll probably be a medium hard. Probably will be onto a one stop from this point out, but given the fact that Equaz came out ahead of Mushroom, is now behind Mushroom, Marsky and Tori, and is losing time to those drivers, I don't think going onto the slicks is the right call quite yet. Mushroom might be about to see another driver coming out with slick tyres. You might be thinking, dear God, what are they doing? In fact, he's going to come out just behind Lewis Riley, but Lewis Riley's going to have about as much grip as Bambi on that ice at the start of the Bambi field, or whatever it was. And yep, there he goes. Passed by everyone. In fact, he's already touched the grass, which is going to give him even less grip than he already had. What's he looking like through sector 1? That's going to be a track limits warning, and that's probably another track limits warning. He's looking... Oh my God, Equaz has gone off. Equaz, championship protagonist, is on the grass. It is not time for the slick tyres. Riley's got passed by Tori. He's trying to get it back through on the Williams, but it is not looking too good for him, as Rocket Lee has passed Equaz because Equaz off the track and Vintage has been lapped already, and Vintage with no grip on the full hard tyres. On the hard tyres, Kieran's still improving. The track is drying up, but he's still a couple of laps away, I would think. Anyone else decided to bolt? Nope, no one decided to bolt into the pits. If they're listening to the stream, they probably know why, because they've just seen a bunch of people get absolutely battered coming out of the pit lane, and Equaz going from potentially holding some good points in reflection to potentially now losing out massively in this race. This could be something to watch here. He might be about to be overtaken here by Ginger Rage in the Red Bull, who is still on the intermediate tyres, and he's pulling away from Vintage at a rate of knots. These medium tyres just not firing up yet for the Hash driver, and Equaz has lost loads of time. And I think Lewis and Riley might be about to... he's got a time penalty there. Not surprised. I think Liam might be about to get blast straight past the Aston Martin as well. We are, as I said, still seeing a couple of laps away from slick conditions. Once Kieran, I think, gets into 1 minute 12 or 11. You normally say about 7 seconds. That is about the time you're doing a crossover. That is, you know, so we've got probably another couple of laps before we're in that point. Although Lewis is now starting to pull away from Liam, so maybe he's got some temperature into those medium tyres. He's now not necessarily hemorrhaging time, but he's now keeping the gap at 2.1 seconds. So maybe now slicks are potential. No, they're not. Jesus Christ, he's just had a massive slide coming out of the traction zone. So yeah, definitely not time for slick tyres, and I think Liam might be about to have him here. So not time for slicks at all yet, and it could be a mistake here made by Equaz that could potentially cost him this title. Liam on the back of Lewis. So not working out for those that have made the switch to the slick tyres yet, but I'm sure it will eventually dry up for them. Reflection gets past the lapped car of Vintage. R2 Beat as well is quite far off. Legend is still keeping up with Vestiaire. He's still keeping that Aston Martin in his sights as Lee picks up a 3-second penalty for track limits. He's keeping that Aston in his sights, but he's not been able to get anywhere close to getting an overtake on. So he's there or thereabouts. I think if DRS gets enabled pretty soon, then he might be able to take advantage of it if he can just get a little bit closer to the back of that Aston. Reflection is closing up on the bit onto the back of R2 Beat. Maybe as the track dries up, it might suit Reflection's Mercedes a little more. But we will wait and see what he can do. I love his camera angle and breaking the brakes. And Lewis Riley, I think, has gone off. Has he gone off? He has gone off. You see the gravel on his tyres. He's got another 3-second penalty. He's got no grip at all, and all it is doing is giving him 3-second penalties for track limits. So no one else yet brave enough to dive into the pits. Kieran has pitted for a set. Not pitted. He's not pitted. Kieran has got into another low 14s. As I said, you normally got to wait to about 7 seconds. So obviously in the dry is about 1 minute 5, 1 minute 6. So yeah, you are probably about another 2 laps away. As the yellow flag is sector 2, it is Rocket Lee has gone. Rocket Lee's, I think, has done what he did earlier and broke too heavily and potentially lost severe. He could come back on track just ahead of the Red Bull. Mad Max into the pits, I'm assuming for a set of the slick tyres. We'll see how they fare on his car now that Lewis and Equaz have stopped disappearing down the order. But it's going to be very difficult, especially for Equaz, to get back up the grid again. So, yeah, that is very difficult for see what Mad Max can do. He's on hard tyres. Into the pits, come look at Lee as well. He's going for the hard tyres. So drivers starting to make that switch to the slick tyres. But I mean, Riley and Equaz have been on the slick tyres now for quite a while. Although Lewis Riley is now gaining quite a bit on Liam, so I think this could be it. He's finally set a personal best first sector. So Lewis Riley here, the slick tyres might be now the quicker tyre to be on. This might be the lap 2 pit. As Reflection's got past R2 beat. Are them going to pit? No, not than pit, but I think this could be the lap to pit because Lewis Riley is starting to gain on the back of Liam, and Equaz as well has appeared to have finally got some temperature into his tyres. Let's see if he can do anything about the Aston Martin into turn 3. He cannot as he turns left down the hill. So Reflection up to P4, R2 beat down to P5. I'm sure they won't be Reflection quite happy about it. He's though 5 seconds off the back of his next car. The road, and Tory is into the pits, as is Liam. These guys have seen firsthand that the slick tyres are starting to gain on them, and it might be time to finally join them. But Tory now coming into the pits is going to be a set of the hard tyres for him. And obviously gets another 3 seconds for track limit. So I think it's going to be either medium hard or hard medium. We've taken a good 17 laps off this race. So it's probably going to be medium hard or hard medium. Probably going to go to a one stop now to the end of the race. Those on mediums will have to pit again, I'm certain of it. Hard tyres might try and run a little longer, but yeah, we are now starting to see quite a massive lap time gain. Well, I don't think, did Lewis set the fastest lap on that lap? I don't think he did. Didn't come up. No, he's still 6/10 off Kieran's best, but Vestiaire and Kieran into the pits. Legend sticks it out. Reflection into the pits. Championship leader into the pits. RTB sticks it out. Knowlesley's going to stick it out. Mushroom is quite far away, so we're going to wait for him. Legend's still a 14 flat, so that goes to show you that this track is starting to really rack it up. What can Lewis Riley do, though? That if Lewis Riley sets fast after the race, that this will vindicate all those that have decided to pit. Vestiaire and Reflection onto hards. Kieran onto mediums, so we have a split out front. Mushroom has decided to pit. Marsky has decided to stay out. Reflection is going to come out in some clean air, as is Vestiaire. Going to come out just behind. Sorry, that's vintage, so he's not going to come out behind anyone. Vestiaire, though, up the hill he will go. But look at that. I mean, Equaz was P4 when he pitted. At the moment, he's looking at not P4 probably. He's behind his championship rival. He's behind Lewis Riley for a start. So he has lost out big time in these pit stops. Of course, he's going to be on older tyres, although they shouldn't be too worn, given the fact he's driving on a very damp track. Legend, I'm assuming, will be in at the end of this lap, because everyone else has pitted, and I think the time is nigh. Lee has set the fast lap of the race on the hard tyres. That goes to show you the hards are, or the dries are now the quicker tyre, and Legend is indeed into the pits for the Haas team. I'm sure those remaining on intermediates will be in right behind him. There goes Beat, and there goes Knowlesley. So the wet time has ended. It's time for slicks. We'll see now what the strategy is for everyone. Beat is in, Knowlesley then, they're all into the pits. Equaz has got past Lewis Riley. He's finally got past the Aston, or has he? He's gone very deep, and he has got. Oh no, has he got that? No, he hasn't. Lewis Riley was not. Oh, DRS has been enabled. Lewis Riley might have DRS here, and this could be able to get him back ahead of the Haas. He does get him back ahead of the Haas, and that was Lee going off the track yet again. And Lewis Riley keeps ahead of the Haas. The Haas can have DRS down the start-finish straight. And look at that, these guys are going to come out. How? Look at that, they're going to come up, but they're fighting for effectively P7. Muskie still yet to pit for some reason. Reflection has got past R2 beat. No surprise there. R2 beat on those fresh hard tyres. We're not going to have as much tyre temp as the Mercedes. Tory sets fast up the race. That will show you that the dry tyres are now up. So Legend still behind the Aston Martin, but now with the benefit of the Aston Martin going completely, absolutely wide. Still potentially a bit damp in places. It's going to be a DRS. He does have DRS now, does Legend. Can he get the move done? He's in the slipstream with the DRS, burning the battery. Can he get past the Aston Martin? Can he get it slowed down into the old turn 3? He can, and he will have DRS down this straight as well. So that will keep him, should keep him ahead of the Aston. It does indeed. Marsky still on the intermediate for some sort of mistaken reason. But he's continuing on there. I mean, you know, props to him. Kieran sets fast after the race. He's absolutely flying out there on the medium tyres, as you would expect compared to those on the hards. So the Sauber flying off into the sunset, and Marsky is going to finally pit off of those intermediate tyres. The last driver to do so. And as you can see clearly, there's a potentially a little bit still a bit damp out there because Vessier went wide, and even then it was hard for Legend to just sweep past the Aston Martin and set up hard tyres for Marsky, the Ferrari driver, who come out well clear of his teammate, slightly. So well done there to the Ferrari team. Good to stop there. So we do now have a bit of DRS training for P4. Reflection did get past R2 Beat. He got past him before the pit stops and after them as well. But Knowsley on those medium tyres has robbed up to the back of these guys. And the medium tyres obviously fired up a lot easier and a lot quicker than the hards. And as you'd expect, they're obviously going to be quicker because they are a softer compound. Look at Lee, fastest man on track despite those spins earlier in the race. Is R2B going to get back past the Mercedes? If he is, he's not going to do it into the old turn 3. Down the hill they go. So Knowsley, expect him to be quite rapid at this stage in the race. Expect that from all the medium runners. To be fair, Legend has already dropped Vessier out of his DRS. R2 Beat is on the back of the Mercedes, or just about, not quite getting anything done into the old turn 1, but I'm sure he'll be pretty happy just to sit behind the Aston. The Mercedes will get dragged along, keeping ahead of Knowsley until the medium tyres start to drop off. We are a long way from that. It's going to be a long race for the Mercedes and the Alpine. So R2B moving swiftly on. Any close battles, Lewis Riley has kept up still with Equaz. Equaz goes wide out of turn 2. That could have been a possible track limits. Mad Max on the back of his teammate. So the two Williamses still next to each other on the track. But it is Tory ahead of Mad Max. We'll see how long that lasts, and if it does last. But as I said, Lewis Riley keeping up on the back of Equaz, and they themselves quite a distance away from this battle for P4. As R2 Beat is still trying to push on. I'm not sure if Beat's going to go for the move here, or if he's just going to try and stick behind and get that battery up and use that to defend from Knowles. As I said, he's going to be rapid at this stage. That is a very poor exit there for the Alpine. Can Knowles get the run? He did get a good exit. He has the battery, but I don't think he's going to have the straight line speed to do it. I think if R2B didn't have that DRS from Reflection, he would be easy pickings to the V car. But unfortunately for Knowsley, whatever benefit he's getting from the DRS, Beat is getting it as well, despite the Alpine's lack of straight line speed. Knowsley's ahead into the old turn, into turn 1 once again, climbing the hill in his V car through the Styrian Alps of Austria. Gosh, do you remember when we had this track back to back in 2020 and 21? God, I remember 2020 just being excited to watch Formula 1 again. I do remember in 2020 they're talking about the reverse tracks. They're talking about doing Silverstone backwards at one point until everyone realised actually that's probably not that safe. So yeah, that I do remember those old days. I'm sure most of you do as well. It was only 5 years ago. But we are still continuing on in here in Styria, and RTB is a lot closer now to Reflection than he has been, but he's not going for that move on the Mercedes driver. But the Mercedes driver's gone a bit deep into the old turn 3, but RTB not quite there, capitalised on it. Knowsley, I'm sure, getting pretty frustrated here. Kieran continues to set a fast lap after fast lap. Knowsley probably getting very frustrated, stuck behind the Alpine, especially with those medium tyres. He wants to make good whilst they're fresh and whilst they're better than the hard tyres. That is an advantage that is not going to last forever. He's got a very much string out of it. As Beat looks inside of Reflection, tries to put him off. Nothing doing for him there. But they are closing a bit on the back of Vessier, who has been dropped by Legend. They are closing a bit on the Aston Martin. That is a channel ahead of Vintage, who is a lap down on these guys. Vintage was the second person pit for these slick tyres. Did not work out for him. Now by nearly 11 seconds over Legend, who's making these medium tyres work, and he work well. After Beat still quite close to the back of the Mercedes. Can he get a move done? And can Knowsley as well? It looks like a good exit there from R2B. This could be the lap he overtakes the Mercedes driver. Might be get a cheeky DRS from the McLaren driver if he's lucky. See, can he get it done into turn 3? It's such a difficult corner. He's going to get DRS. Yes, he does. That's critical there. Reflection gets DRS. And that's going to put paid to any attempts that Beat would have wanted to have against the McLaren. And I think, the Mercedes. And I think the Mercedes can get another helping through the last corner. He is DRS for these 3 guys again. So these will be quick laps from these guys. They'll have DRS properly again for the first time. And they head up. Oh, I think Beat's been undone there by the McLaren. And oh, that was not a safe rejoin at all. I think he's going to let the V carb go. I thought he was, but yes, he is. That was, yeah, I think it beat very much blindside there. Went through the McLaren and in a braking zone. That is the worst thing to go through a ghosted car, because suddenly you lose sight of where you are on the track. And R2 Beat is unfortunately down to P6. What this has done, it has allowed Reflection to absolutely disappear up the road. These guys were fighting a lap ago, and now Reflection is 3 seconds clear of Knowsley and R2 Beat, and R2 Beat has got back past the V-Carb, so he's back ahead of the V-Carb. Is he going to get the braking zone into turn 3? Right, he does. I know I'm calling them turn 3, but I know it's not officially turn 3, but it is the old turn 3, and it's very difficult to work out what is a corner on this year's game and what isn't. Yeah, it's massively unfortunate there for these guys. It means that they are very far off the back of Reflection, who is now trying to really bite into Reflection, the gap to Vessier. Reflection, the fastest man on track right now. First driver into the 1 minute 8s, and these lap times are going to keep tumbling as the fuel burns off, and as they get used to dries, and as this track, of course, re-rubbers in, they start to get used to it again. They will start getting quicker and quicker as Vintage gets a 3-second penalty for track limit transgressions. So it's a fight now for P5 between Beat and Knowsley. Knowsley now probably the shine taking a little bit off those medium tyres. Of course, still probably quite potent compared to the hards, as Beat has gone very wide into, I think, the old turn 4. Yeah, I think it's the old turn 4. Yeah, he's on turn 4, and that's given Knowsley a bit of a reprieve, because Knowsley was not far away from losing DRS, and R2 Beat locks up as well. He's gonna get he does about just about get it turned in. It's such a difficult corner, that one, sure. Braking, and the track literally just disappears underneath you. You're turning left, and the track just dives down underneath you. Got a lot of drivers out. The yellow flag, and Liam's out of the race. Liam's crashed. Is that going to be a safety car? It is a safety car. Liam has put it in the wall. I can't see his eye. He's put it on the wall. He's gone wide. Liam into the wall, and that is a safety car. Wow. I haven't seen those in a little while. That's a lie. Didn't see one last week. There we go. But Equinox 3-second penalty. That could be hurting him. So this is going to change the narrative a bit, because Kieran's big gap he had is gone. I mean, could hard tyres go to the end of the race? 45 laps is quite an ask for the hard tyres, I would assume, not knowing the actual specs of the tyres, because they do 45 laps, maybe, but I'm assuming they'll be pretty toasty towards the end. Obviously, in real life, this race, it was a 2-stopper. Toys were onto a set of softs. That is very interesting. I'm assuming Kieran isn't going to pit, because he's on special mediums, or is he? Oh, he's a bit indecisive there, but Kieran into the bits, and he will come out. He's going to come out, still in the lead clearly, because he's well clear of Legend. I'm assuming the hard ones are going to stay out. I don't think there's much they can really do. I'm assuming Kieran is also going to go to a set of the hard tyres. It is a set of the white shod hard tyres for the Sauber. Vessier is in as well. They are all going to pits. These tyres are not that old, so they are all coming in, apart from R2 Beat. R2 Beat is electing to stick it out. Knowsley's in as well. So Kieran going to retain the lead, because everyone else behind him is pitted. R2 Beat, though, is sticking it out on his older hard tyres. Legend onto hards. Vessier hard. Knowsley medium, and Reflection had another set of the hard tyres. So Reflection had that set of hard tyres to spare. And this helps him, of course, because he can now catch up to Vessier without much of an issue. I'm not sure why the hard one is pitched to be. I mean, clearly, Reflection has done a set of hards, but I thought those hards should have been pretty okay. Toy's gone soft, so that's going to be very interesting to see how those go. That'll be a very interesting data collection point for everyone. How the soft tyres handle. Mosky's also elected to stay out. I don't think tyre would be that bad, that after just 8 laps you need to pit off a set of hards, but it could be just you don't want to be 8 laps off someone else. You know, you don't be 8 laps, you don't have that tyre delta. Now this is going to be quite a long safety car, because Rocket Lee is only just about cleared Kieran, so Kieran coming down, Kieran going down the hill, you can see the Mercedes of Rocket Lee going into the old turn 1, the new last corner. So this is going to be quite a long safety car, probably a safety car that will stay out to the maximum extent it is permitted to. So we'll see how Rocket Lee is going to do. Let's see, he's a minute 14, so this is going to be quite a long while for him to catch up. He might not even catch up given the length of this circuit, as Kieran comes up to the 28th lap. So it's Kieran leading. RTB, who is not pitted under the safety car, is second. Legend is third. Veskia fourth, and Reflection fifth. Knowlesley sixth. Lewis and Riley seventh. Marsky eighth. Equaz ninth, and Sergeant Tory is in 10th, and that is very nice from Vintage, getting out of the way of everyone, I think. I think he was. It might have been. Vintage has also stayed out of the safety car, but he might be just wanting to wait a couple of laps before pitting. His race more or less over. Of course, he is a lap down, and unfortunately, you cannot unlap yourself on this game under the safety car like you can in real life. So his race is pretty much condemned to 15th, unfortunately for him. The field's starting to catch up now. Wait for the next cars to catch up. With Lewis Riley, who's about to catch up to the back of the train. We've got Marsky as well, and Equaz, who's still quite a way back as well. Whew. We love a good safety car here in ALR 100%, brought to you by Boxbox and not Boxbox, by 3D Track Prints and Shop ALR. Do go to Shop ALR, fantastic. I still wear my ALR hoodie, my bright green ALR hoodie. Still wear it. You can get it customized with your gamer tag, your name, and your race number. So do check it out. We are coming up to Christmas. I know we don't want to talk about it, and I hate the fact I'm seeing Christmas stuff up on shelves. But if you need a Christmas present, and even if you want a Christmas present to yourself, you want to give yourself a pat on the back for a good 2025, get yourself some ALR merch. Helps us out very much. Very much helps us out big time. Here in ALR, Vintage does indeed pit. He's going to remove himself from the lead pack, and should hopefully come out behind at least Mushroom. No, in fact, he is retired in the pit lane. So Vintage is done. We've already lost 2 drivers, which means every driver that finishes the race from this point out will score at least a single championship point. So that is, I'm sure, beneficial to those towards the back. And it could mean now, I think that Rocket League could be in with a shout of catching up to the back of this safety car queue. So they're going towards the end of Sector 1. He's about to hit the start of Sector 1. He's pushing as hard as he can. He's running battery as well. And it's a not a bad lap there from the ladies driver. Into turn 1 he goes. Stay on board with him, do a lap of the Austria ring until he actually gets back into the car, which is going to be, I assume, probably within about the next 15 or 20 seconds or so. Martin Gray with yellow flags as he climbs up the hill. You now start to see the back of the train. There is Mad Max waiting on to catch up to the back. You can see the train now. You can know that he has pretty much caught up to the back of it. There they all are. And that is him now onto the back of the train. I think the rule is if the last car is within 5 seconds of the car ahead, that happens. The safety car is in this lap, so it's down to Kieran. He's now a safety car. He's got a bit of a rear gunner here, an inadvertent rear gunner in the form of RTB, who, as I said, did not hit under that safety car. So he does have a rear gunner here. So he could very much he can control it. He can control it a bit as he's weaving down, trying to get some tyre temp into these hard tyres. They continue to weave down the straight as he comes up to the final corner. Can he start to get a move on? He will now. He will get going around the final corner, but I think, oh no, he's not. He is actually closing the weight. And now he's gone. He's caught RTB, I think, with his pants down, and his neck is in a twist because here they come up to the line. Marsky's already passed Lewis Riley. That is, wow, Lewis Riley takes back a Knowlesley. That's a penalty for Lewis Riley, and that's also illegal to overtake full safety car line. RTB hasn't been. He did keep the collision behind, which is all he had to do as Tory gets past. Whoa, a bunch of people, Equaz and Lewis Riley. Lewis Riley somehow back ahead of Equaz, but not for much longer. And I think, is that wing damage? No, it's not wing damage on his car at least. But Equaz now up to 9th. Tory's going to be flying on those soft tyres, especially behind Marsky. Out front though, RTB just needs to keep up with Kieran for the rest of this lap and most of the next one. So he can get DRS on the Sauber. I'm sure that would do him a load of good in helping defend from the cars behind. But he's got to make some work of it because he's got a long lot of work to do to keep up with the Kick Sauber on fresh tyres, who has been the cream of the crop this year. A double lock-up from Kieran, and that is a very wide moment there from RTB, and that doesn't quite, unfortunately, for Legend give him the opportunity. Tory has blasted past Marsky, so those soft tyres are working like a dream. Of course, these will be fresh soft tyres as well, because no slick tyres were used during qualifying. So this will be fantastic there from Tory. He is absolutely flying. Mushroom has got past Mad Max as well, and unfortunately out front for R2B, he has been dropped very much by Kieran. He's on 17.777. Oddly satisfying indeed. 1.5 is the gap, so I think RTB's time in second place might be about to be at an end we've got Legend, Vessier, Reflection and Nolsey all still, everyone is pretty much within that DRS zone, apart from Kieran, who has bolted. So that DRS train is going to be long, and although Mad Max and Ginger Rage are now fighting, Ginger Rage elected not to pit under that safety car, and I think that could be causing him some slight issues here. Keep an eye as well on Lewis Riley. He might have had a bit of a fumbled safety car restart, but he is on the medium tyres, and they have proven to be very quick against hard tyres of the same age. Legend has DRS, but he's had a pretty poor exit out of the old turn 4. He needs to get past this Alpine if he wants any chance to keep up with Kieran, although I think that's pretty unlikely. To double lock up again from R2B. He's not liking that corner, but neither is Legend. He's gone deep, and Vessier now might sense an opportunity with a yellow flag in section 2. I think, no, that's not a yellow flag. It's just the way the cookie is crumbling. Vessier is nearly past the Haas if the Haas didn't have DRS. Oh, but they're closed so much on R2B. R2B locks up. Legend a little bit caught off guard by that, and Vessier's up the inside. I think that's going to be Vessier through, up position, and here comes Reflection. Reflection also wants to come and play up the inside. He can't be careful here. He can't lose any points to the champion. He does back out. You can tell he's fighting for championship. He didn't go for that move that most others might have at least tried to keep his nose up there. But oh, that is a massive slide from Legend, and this could be Reflection easy getting it done. This is the definition of good things come to those who wait, and he's passed the Haas through the long run through the S section. So Legend there struggling a bit in the Haas on those hard tyres. Rear end not sticking for him. He's now got Nolsey on his back, and Tory as well on those soft tyres, looking racy as heck. And in fact, Tory's about to go down the outside of Nolsey. Can he get it done on the V carb? He goes a bit deep. He's going to get the better traction though with those soft tyres. Can he get the move done? It is side by side. He's going to get a very distant toe from Legend. I think it's going to be Tory. Yes, Tory does win out in the end, and Tory continues to climb up the order on those soft tyres. They are proving to be fantastic. As whoa, Equaz got a 10-second penalty. He's gone off the track as Equaz. He's taken out Mad Max, and that could be the championship. Is this the championship fading for Equaz here in Austria? Could this be it for him? Reflection can't win the championship today, but this could be the absolute pivotal turning point, and you can see he's weaving. What has happened to Equaz? Is this it? Is this the day that Equaz loses the ALR 100% Realistic League Championship? We might be watching it live, ladies and gentlemen. He's keeping going, but he's well off the back of the field, and he has a 10-second penalty to his name. Look at that, 13 seconds worth of penalties. He will have to serve that at his next pit stop. He can get it removed if it's unfair, but he cannot serve it. It's not how it works in this game. And that could be it for Equaz. Of course, a long way to go still in this championship, and as Reflection said, he has to miss a race later on this season because he's got a holiday coming up, but this could be the major swing that may potentially puts Reflection with one hand on the trophy. Kieran continues to push on, and R2B is doing a fantastic job of fending off those on fresher tyres. Vessier sniffing the back of the Alpine as Nolsey picks up another 3 seconds for tyre track limits. But here comes Vessier up the inside of R2B. B is harvesting, and Vessier gets through on the Alpine into the old turn 1. He's through and finally cleared the driver on the old hard tyres. Is R2B going to return the favour? No, I think R2B is going to be too far back on this occasion to make anything good of it, and I think Tory's tyres have hit a cliff because he's dropped out the DRS of the leaders, and he's now got Marsky all over his backside. So Tory here has to be very careful not to overexert those soft tyres. Although, to be fair, what this has done is not only has it shot him up the order, it has as well. He's going to create a nice tyre offset. It's not leaving for 3 seconds. He's going to give a nice tyre offset to the cars around him when he does eventually come back into the pits in probably a couple of laps' time. Now, R2B is now the one hunting Vessier. Can he get a move done on the Aston Martin? Very nice turn 4, or former turn 4 there for the Alpine. Frustrating the efforts of Reflection potentially a little bit there. But helicopter shot as they come into the braking zone. Any lockups? No lockups. There's a yellow flag. I think someone's gone off. Not sure who. As Tory has been passed by Marsky, that's a sign potentially. His soft tyres have started to hit a cliff. Reflection on the back of R2B. Nothing doing for him though into the old turn 1. And they're going to have to wait potentially for Vessier to, if he can, break the DRS to R2B. That's the only chance I think Reflection's going to have, unless he can really save battery and just plough it down that back straight into the new final corner. We'll wait and see. Reflection now round turn 2. He's kind of up the hill into the quick left and right of the chicane. Nothing doing for him there, unfortunately for him. They continue up the hill. Kieran leads by 4.5 seconds. Of course, Vessier with a 3-second penalty. If it ended as it would right now, it would be Kieran, Beat and Reflection on the podium, but as I said, a long way to go, and Legend is still lurking. He can definitely be a thorn in the side for these guys. Reflection has to think of a championship, so if Legend can put Reflection in a compromising situation, Reflection might have to back out there, and that could very much assist him in his efforts. Reflection, though, can he get past R2 Beat? Can he make it a fight for second place as Lewis Riley gets past Knowlesley? Or does he? Because Knowlesley gets a great exit out of the old turn 3, the old V-car driver. Is he going to be able to get it done? It is a century for Riley up towards the first corner, the last corner. He's through on the the V-car, a little bit wide though, a little bit of a touchy-woo there from the Knowlesley, but he is weaving a bit there down the straight. The confidence gets out, frustration, or potentially just trying to get out of the dirty air. Reflection on the back of RTB. But RTB is doing a fantastic job to keep in the DRS of the Aston Martin. Mad Max gets a 3-second penalty for track limits, transgressions, and Lewis Riley keeps ahead of Knowlesley. But I think Tory's tyres have started to fall off a bit there. He's starting to struggle in this second sector. Let's see, can he get 6 tenths off the back of Marsky? 6 tenths, 6 tenths, 6 tenths, 7 tenths. Marsky just teleported to a second clear. Okay then. Right, as you do, you know, you just teleport ahead of people. So Tory now continuing on, but he's lost that gap to Marsky. I think it would be wise for him to pit sooner rather than later. His soft gamble may not have paid dividends the way he would have wanted, but it made some damn fine racing. Reflection on the back of RTB. He just doesn't have... RTB likes to harvest as he comes, like in the last 3 seconds before the braking zone, and that isn't enough time to get alongside, get that momentum to have the benefit of using your battery. Tory is still staying out, so he's continuing on. Potentially might be trying to get on to a set of medium to see him to the end of the race, so that would be quite an off. 34 laps of medium tyre. May not be the nicest thing to do, especially the Williams. Of course, these cars are realistic, so that Williams not quite as much downforce as say a McLaren or a Red Bull in this lobby. Reflection continuing on. He's got a lot of batteries, so maybe you might be listening in. You might be know the best way is to simply, as that is a pit quit for Mad Max, unfortunately. The best way might just simply be to blast his battery if he gets a good run. He should get a good run. He does get a good run, but he's not using any battery down this straight. In fact, he's leaving it to RTB to close up on the back of Vestiaire. Maybe waiting to see if RTB messes up this corner. He does not. In fact, if anything, Reflection has quite a poor turn 3 there. You've got to keep an eye on Reflection, but Reflection hasn't had a good exit. And again, lap 37 going to an end, and there's going to be no change in the order between the top 4, or top 5 I should say. Marsky watching on in the background. Marsky's been quite happy, although he didn't pit under the safety car. The people around him that he was fighting with pitted onto tyres that are now not quite as potent as they could be, specifically Tory. So yeah, that is that's helped him, but he's got a nice gap ahead, he's got a very nice gap behind. So Marsky there, his gamble to stay out on the hard tyres may not be all bad, especially considering we're seeing here from RT Beat a very, very strong drive on tyres that are 8 laps older than everyone else's, and of course we had 3 laps under the safety car. So you know, that is still quite a, you know, it's an 8 lap disadvantage he has, and he's keeping up with Vestiaire with very minimal issue, although he's using a lot of battery to do so. It's a very good exercise from RTB. This could be an attempt on him to get past Vestiaire, but Vestiaire burning his battery. Nothing much the Alpine can do. Reflection still watches on. He has a lot of battery to play with, but not the time to do it. He needs that Alpine to have a bad exit or to get out of the DRS ASAP, but neither of that is falling his way. As things stand, it's going to be a massive thing in the championship regardless at the moment. And if he can build on this, if he can get this championship wrapped up in a couple of weeks' time, potentially at Qatar, I'm sure he would not mind at all. If he goes on holiday champion, that I'm sure that'd be a fantastic way to end the year 2025. It is coming to the end of a fantastic 2025 year. I hope you've all enjoyed it so far. We've still got some action still to go. Reflection now coming round into the chicane, flicks it right and then flicks it left and then flicks it right. There's nothing any of these guys can do. They're all stuck in the DRS train. And Marsky, fair play to him. He's sitting 2 seconds back. He's doing a really good job. Just sitting 2 seconds back. You know, he's far enough back that he's not getting involved, but he's also close enough that if one of these guys hits each other, he can be right there and take up all the positions. So a really good job there from Marsky on those older hard tyres. So you know, putting on the safety car wasn't all it. You know, it wasn't all cracked up. It wasn't all it was cracked up to be, given the ability of all these drivers to maintain some pretty strong pace on the older rubber. But lap 39 of 71, about to hit lap 40. We are absolutely flying through this race. This race is absolutely flying through. they're all now very much into the groove of things as Rocket League gets past Knowsley. And so I think the medium and soft, well, Lewis, Tori and Lee, Lee's gone off. That does his hard work. Lewis, Tori and Lee, I think just trying to create a tyre delta. I would not be entirely surprised. Lewis Fry gets a 3-second penalty for track limit transgressions. I would not be entirely surprised if is Ekman good? He's fighting with Ginger Rage, and that's not normally somebody who's fighting with. I wouldn't be surprised if we see these guys try and go to the end on this set of hard ties, but those that are not on hard ties right now, potentially just trying to go long and create a nice offset so they can pit in 10 or so laps time, go into a set of mediums, and then blast up onto the back of drivers that are on quite old hard tyres, especially if they are trying to get those tyres to the end of the race. Reflection, he's all over the back of that Alpine, he's probably getting quite annoyed at this point. He's trying to burn all his battery, and there's nothing he can do to really get ahead of the Alpine. And Knowsley tumbled down the order there. I think he's had a very bad form of turn 3 there. I think that is the reason why he's just lost a bunch of positions. John's still struggling with that corner, which I'm not surprised by. It's a very difficult corner. Probably one of the hardest corners on this track, as Tori has finally called it a day on those soft tyres. He did about 10 racing laps on them, rest of under safety car. So soft's not really a viable option for those unless you have a very late safety car. So we know that now for the future, and he's going to a set of the mediums, which he might very well take to the end of this race. I'd be surprised if he does try that at least. And he's going to be quite rapid, is Tori. He's going to have a very nice tyre delta over every one of them. That's why he picks up another 3 seconds. He then just picked her up. We'll look at the penalty situation. That's why 22 seconds. Wow, that is concerning. I think one of those either I think one of those is a 10. Knowsley on 15, Equinox on 13, and one of those is a 10. On 6, 3 for Vestiaire as well. Oh, Reflection! Oh, really? Reflection gets past RTB and I missed it. Got past the Alpine on the run to really? I missed it. Got that one. Gets past the Alpine. Can he get back in the DRS of Vestiaire? He can just about, so he should be able to make that move stick with the DRS on the Aston Martin. He does do so. I think I missed that. I've been talking about it for the last 5 laps. I missed them. Goddamn everything. Oh well. But the Reflection up to P3 is very vanquished the Alpine on those old hard tyres. His beat picks up a 3-second penalty there. Clearly not used to being stuck in the dirty air of the Mercedes. So Reflection now pushing up onto the back of Vestiaire. Now these guys are pretty close in terms of speed, so this could be a fun battle to continue to watch. These two fighting hard. I mean, Vestiaire, he doesn't have to because Vestiaire has a 3-second penalty, but he'll want to at least get ahead and try and do something about Kieran. I don't think there's much he can do, even with Kieran now in a kick Sauber. But I'm sure he'll be giving it his best go. Will Reflection, in fact, Reflection might make it 2 for 2 in the same corner. He's going to get past the Aston Martin, who is flashing. So this could be a game of DRS chicken. R2B's already been dropped out of the DRS range of these guys, but he's going to get right back in it, or is he? Yes, he is just about, but Legend is sniffing the rear of that Alpine. So Reflection up into P2, and he's now got an 8.6 second gap to try and bridge to the Sauber of Kieran. So putting a bit of that gap in because he's burning a lot of battery at the moment just to make sure he keeps ahead of the Aston. And he doesn't need to keep ahead of the Aston, and onto that 43 of 71. So we've seen Tori pit for a new set of mediums. He's going to be pretty goddamn rapid on those medium tyres. Is anyone else going to pit? You'd think Lewis, Riley and Rocket Lee will come into pits and probably not for another 10 or so laps. To be fair, Riley and Lee, I wouldn't be surprised if they pit on lap 55, 56, 57 for a set of soft tyres, or they might go slightly earlier onto another set of mediums. Of course, don't have to worry about using 2 sets of dry tyres because this was a wet race. We had intermediates for the first nearly 20 laps. As Reflection had, I think, a bit of a slide there from what I could see out the corner of my eye. I feel like he was sliding. RTB has fallen out of the DRS range, and even worse, he has basically no battery to play with. RTB, he's looking strong in 3rd place. He's down to 4th, and that could be 5th quite soon. Potentially those hard tyres starting to really struggle with their age. He's going to the inside to try and defend, but he does get overtaken by the Haas. RTB down to P5, and Marsky again. He's there. Marsky is like. There's a meme, I think, about George Russell where he goes, George Russell does nothing, gets P3. And I felt to say for Marsky, he does nothing, he just appears. He just appears. You're like, when were you P6? And he just appears. So great job there from the fire of Marsky. Rocket Lee is making some good ground up after quite a shaky first half of the race. He's climbing up the climbing up the grid. He's overtaken now Lewis Riley, who's also on the medium tyres. And that was a bit of a second penalty, because he needs more of those clearly. So Rocket Lee up to P7. And he is going to see if he can forge that gap a bit too Marsky, but the medium tyres probably no better than Marsky's hards at this point. And as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them into the pits fairly shortly. Reflection pushing on. He's got Vestiaire as well in his DRS, so Vestiaire quite happy just to be pulled along by the Mercedes at the moment. As I said, Vestiaire has a 3-second penalty, but he doesn't have a championship to worry about. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. So Vestiaire looking quite happy just to sit, if he can, in the back of that Mercedes DRS. Mercedes harvesting down the back straight. As they come now down to start lap 45. So really strong face from these guys. Legend has fallen off away, unfortunately for them. Fortunately for him, he is just about going to be he's just about clinging on to Vestiaire, but I think Vestiaire is going to use the DRS to Reflection to try and get that 3-second gap to Legend. That is going to be his main priority, to at least safeguard a podium position here. He's not a million miles away from being able to do that, and Marsky is not a million miles away from being able to get onto the back of R2 Beat either. So this race still with a lot of twists and turns, with 26 laps still to go. Still 26 laps left of this race, so we'll be done in about just over half an hour, just shy of half an hour. Not that matters, because we are having a great time here. Vestiaire is out of DRS range of the Mercedes. That could be slightly critical there for his race. So yes, it could be quite unfortunate for him. Reflection continue to push on personal best sector 1. I don't think sector 2 is going to quite reflect that. It's not unfortunate for him. But we're going to see probably a bit of static at the moment as Serious Mushroom gets past Lewis Riley. Bit of static at the moment because we're not expecting potentially any more pit stops for the rest of the race potentially. But we'll wait and see how that unfolds. I mean, could be probably wrong. I mean, could have another round of pit stops, but I'm expecting those to put on the safety car onto the hard tyres. So Kieran, Reflection, Vestiaire, Legend, Mushroom, potentially Nosey, potentially staying out on the hard tyres potentially to the end. Tory has pitted off those softs onto medium, then he's already passed June Rage, and he is pretty quickly tracking up to the back of Equaz, who's having a very lonely race after he made that horrific mistake. Equaz, I've said several times this season, and I think today has proven it. Equaz is absolutely rapid, but he cannot do strategy. That immediate pit onto the slick tyres. The rain had literally stopped 10 seconds earlier, and he's straight onto the slick tyres. Not sure what he was exactly thinking there. Love to know his thoughts. I'll probably ask him after the race what he was thinking in the nicest way possible, because, yeah, not the wisest choice, as Vestiaire has climbed his way back into the DRS range of Reflection. Doesn't have much battery left to show for it, but he's back in the DRS range and he's going to be pulling away from Legend, so I guess that's all that really matters to the Aston driver. As they continue on, Marsky still thereabouts in the Ferrari. Rocket Lee pulled clear of the group squabbling for P8, so he's well clear now. Not really putting much in on Marsky, but he's clear of Lewis Riley at least. He's got Mushroom to contend with, and Knowlesy as well. I guess Equaz as well. I'm sure we'll try and get on the back of these guys very shortly. And Tory has gained about half a second so far on Equaz this lap. Could be closer to 6/10, depending how he takes the last corner. About half a second gained by the Williams driver on this lap alone, as he tries to forge on to get a potential decent haul of points. Yeah, he's going to fall outside of DRS range, or has he? Yeah, he has. But I think between those two, it's just when and where they're trying to, one will be saving battery one lap, one won't be. R2 Beat though saved a lot of battery, sitting behind Legend, so I'm sure he's pretty happy with that at the moment. So R2 Beat doing a very fantastic job there. Mushroom might be about to get past Lewis Riley. I think he is up the inside. Wow, Riley broke quite early. In fact, Riley's hit the sausage curve there. He's gone very wide. I'm not sure if that's because of Mushroom off. He just got a bit surprised, but he's down to P9 in the Aston Martin, but he will have DRS to try and pull himself back past Mushroom. He's not going to be able to do so on the run to the final corner. So they'll continue to move on. But has gained quite a bit of time on Kieran. He's gained about a second in the last couple of laps. So Kieran potentially taking it easy, doesn't have to push. He's not fighting for the championship. He's not really fighting for the race win either at the moment. But Reflection is forging on, and Kieran is. They've all got their lights on to say they're coming into the pit. Everyone has that. I think that could be actually. I say, Kieran's got, Kieran could be able to pit, but he might not actually. Situations of a 3-second time penalty for track limit shenanigans. There's a nice look up there for Reflection on the front left, and he goes wide as well through turn 3. So unfortunately there for him. But he has gained that gap. The gap was about 8.5. It's now down to 7, just about 7 seconds. So some good pace here from Reflection, but I don't think he's going to be able to make much of a dent on Kieran. As Kieran starts at 49 of 71. He said we are flying through this race. This race has been incredibly quick, and I've loved every minute of it so far. I think there's going to be some twists in the tail still to come. Mushroom, is he going to get past Lewis Riley? No, because Lewis Riley's got back past him. So Mushroom, these guys continue to fight for P8, but I'm assuming Riley will have to hit at some point. Get those off the medium time. I don't think they're going to quite be remaining 22 laps to the end of the race. They might be trying to hold out to get onto the soft tyres. And then go from there. So it's like he's got a 3-second penalty for his track limits transgressions. It's almost like he's listening to me. Just wants to add a bit more to it. Reflection is really getting on here. I'm not sure what's quite going on here. If Reflection genuinely quicker, or Kieran's reflecting off the gas. Let's try and make these hard tyres last to the end of the race. Potentially, that is what he's doing. But so this is a realistic Sauber, so there is also a chance that he's struggling with tyre wear, given that he's in the weakest car on the grid. So we'll wait and see what the reason is, because that gap is certainly coming down. Reflection now throws his way through the last corner. You can see the Sauber going into turn 1 just ahead of him, so he can see his rival. And he is doing a great job at closing in on him, but is it a true pace? Is it Kieran letting off, or are we going to see a true battle for the lead? And is anyone going to make another pit stop? RTB has got back past and is fighting with Legend here, and is back ahead of the Haas. So Legend, I had to beat him, saved up a bunch of battery, and he clearly used that battery to good extent. As into the pits has come Knowlesy, so Knowlesy not thinking he can get his hard tyres to the end. That's very interesting there from the V-car driver onto the medium tyres. He'll come out just behind Ginger Rage. So that's very interesting that he doesn't think he can get to the end of the race on that tyre set. So that's interesting. Very interesting. So just behind Ginger Rage. Pretty light work on the RS for about 2 seconds. That's very interesting that we have indeed seen someone call it a day on the medium tyres. Hard tyres. Reflection is closing. I am genuinely interested if this is genuinely Kieran's letting off, or if this is pace. Kieran does a 9.5. Reflection is going to do a 8.9. Wow, 6 tenths gained on that lap alone. Could we be seeing Reflection's pace here? Maybe Kieran's tyres going off a bit in that kick Sauber. He was demoted from the V-car to the Williams to the Sauber. So maybe he's starting to struggle. I will ask him after the race how or if this has affected him, or if pitting has affected, if Sauber has forced him to change anything. But he's losing a lot of time at the moment. And he doesn't really have a lot of battery. It's not if he's harvesting lots, and that's the reason for his slowdown. In fact, Reflection has more battery. Does have a good look at pace, does the Mercedes driver. So we could actually, ladies and gentlemen, and I know this sounds unbelievable, right, we could have a proper fight for the lead of the race with Kieran here racing on. So this is very, very interesting. Very interesting to see what the outcome is going to be, because that gap is falling down. Investigator is still there, it's still there in the Aston. As Legend, I think, is going to have a run on R2 Beach. These guys still fighting Beach, continuing on those old hard tyres. Nothing big for Legend on the on the run down to the last corner. Nearly went into the back of the Alpine there. I think he was double lock up on the inside into turn 1. Beat was battery harvesting, so that's not a surprise. But Marsky, look at that in the Ferrari. Marsky's now just about going into the coattails here, as Equaz pits too. So Equaz doesn't think he can get to the end on his hard tyres. He has to serve his 10-second penalty, so he's going to be going very slow. He's going to be very long pit stop. He's going to come out very far behind everyone. Into the pits he comes, yep, and the crew has to wait there, so it's going to be a long pit stop for him. Reflection is getting a bit more on this lap on Kieran, not that much more. Gap's down by about another 0.2 of a second. Does indeed focus onto those medium tyres. So some drivers are electing to pit again. Where was Reflection actually pitting? Probably in that gaggle with Mushroom and Riley, which you probably wouldn't want to drop into, to be honest. Toy really wouldn't fall into that because they are fighting hard. And Marty gets past R2 Beat. So what's happened to R2 Beat? Has he gone off the track perhaps? Because he's now suddenly very far back off not only Legend but also Marty. Is that going to be a pit stop for R2 Beat? He is. Oh god, that's going to be very quick into the pit lane. That's R2 Beat throwing it into the pit lane. 23 laps on hard tyres. That is interesting. He's elected not to continue on. Reflection has got that gap now under 5 seconds to Kieran. This is exciting. We might have a very late fight for the lead. Lee is in as well. So to be fair, these guys now starting to pit. It could be a sign that these leaders, if they want to pit now, will have a slightly clearer track around them. Lewis Riley continuing on. A very good job for him, and for him to do 26 laps on those medium tyres. Still, I think a bit too much to ask for them to go to the end of the race. And as I said, he might be holding on to a burst on the soft tyres right at the end. Give it a couple of laps, and Reflection could be within undercut range of the Sauber. So that is going to be very interesting. Reflection really trying to push on here. You can see that green kick Sauber just down the road. Is either of them going to pit? Kieran is sticking to the right, so it's not going to be a pit stop from the kick Sauber driver. Reflection, is he going to pit? No, sticking right for the Mercedes driver. They're continuing on. They think their hard tyres are completely fine for now. Which they probably are, to be fair. And they're not really under any threat of an undercut. Anyway, 9 flat for Kieran and 8-2 for Reflection. A 10th off his PB. So Reflection is finding pace on these hard tyres. Is it the fact that Kieran's in a kick Sauber? Is that the reason why he's now suddenly falling off? Are those hard tyres that fall off? But surely if they are falling off, you would pit, you would take the initiative, and you would pit. You can see that gap has, well, halved since, halved in the last 10 laps. So you would take the initiative to come into the pits, because then at least you can cover off an undercut attempt from your rival. I would assume Kieran will Reflection medium tyres will probably bump up to the back of Reflection, them taking this very minimal difficulty. But Reflection as well, 3.4. If he can get another couple of seconds of that, if he can get it to about 1 to 1.5, he could potentially get that down into undercut range. Kieran, what's he going to do on the Sauber? Is he coming into the pits? He's running a lot of battery down this straight. No, he sticks right, he's not going to be pushing it. Equinox fastest around the track, Rocket leads 3 seconds. Not surprised there that Equinox fastest around the track. He's on fresh medium tyres. He does have a bit of pace to him. Gingerage about to go a lap down. Reflection now, 3.1 is the gap, and neither of them are blinking. 9.5 for, I didn't catch that, I didn't catch Reflection. 9.5 for Kieran. Reflection now down. Can he get it under 3 seconds by the end of this lap? You're going to see Gingerage come out the pit lane just in front of him, and Gingerage will be getting blue flag, I'm sure, very shortly. In fact, this could help Reflection a bit. If he can close up the back of that, make all a bit more, he could get some DRS. I think he's going to be too far back, and I would imagine Gingerage with fresh medium tyres is going to be pretty quick. Oh, it's a slide for Reflection. That's going to cost him a bunch of time. Perhaps he's pushing a bit too hard now. He's lost a second there with that mistake. That could be the costly mistake here that cost him a shot at victory, and that is a sign as well. Maybe his tyres not in quite a good condition as we thought they might have been. But Kieran now pushing on to, he's got past Mushroom on those old hard tyres. So yeah, not surprised that has happened. Kieran though is up. He's down, of course, and he's up on this type of gap. Reflection is not going to pit. Is Reflection going to pit? A very tidy veer hard. No, he's not going to pit on this lap. Tommy is forging his way through the field. He's just got past Lewis Riley, and I mean, keep an eye on RCB because he's going to be absolutely flying as well. He is. He's got that DRS. He's going to get past Serious Mushroom. Kieran picks up a 3-second time penalty. Wow, that could really put this race on its head. Kieran with a 3 seconds. Now Reflection only has a second to gain, and that's going to really spur him on. Wow, that could be a major twist in the tail. This could give Reflection the race lead, the race win even, if it stays as it is. But that now just drops the incentive for Reflection to pit, because if he can just say, well, if I get within 7/10 of Kieran, then I get the race win, and if he doesn't pit, then I don't need to pit either. But the fact that Kieran now not only has that 3-second penalty, look at that, he is no grip. Gingerage is about to unlock himself, and Gingerage has DRS on the leader. So you would expect that. You would expect Gingerage to be going faster than the race leader, especially one of Kieran's level and prestige. I know these guys sit in the park and talk to each other, but what are the discussions like right now? Is there much chatting, or is it complete radio silence? Are they all concentrating extremely hard? And it's going to be Kieran into the pits. He is. He's flicking left. He's into the pits. Is Reflection going to respond? No, Reflection stays out. Kieran into the pits for the Kick Sauber team, and he had to do it, to be honest, because those rear tyres were cooked. They were cooked. So Reflection now takes the lead. He has had good pace, but Kieran on fresh medium tyres is going to be something to watch. No, soft tyres for Kieran. Dear God, he's going to be absolutely rapid. but that doesn't even vulnerable to those tyres hitting the cliff at some point. He also has to make his way through Marsky and Legend, which I'm sure he would do in pretty good pace given he's on soft tyres, but that would not be easy as he climbs out the pit lane and out onto the track. Kieran now out on those soft tyres, and he needs to make good while he can. Now, is Reflection going to try and hold it out? Is Reflection going to try and maybe try and hold out on his hard tyres? You'd think it would be very difficult for him with Kieran on fresh soft tyres. Kieran's already gained 6/10 on Marsky through the first 4 corners of the track alone. So you think now that if Reflection comes in now, he's not going to get anywhere near to Kieran. Although, again, soft tyres is a bit of a bold choice because Jory only really got like 10 laps, 18 laps out of them, but he is absolutely flying. Reflection coming down. Is he gonna? He is coming into the pits. He has no, he's not. He's staying out another lap. Is he going to try and build a tyre delta with the potential chance that Kieran does not have any? Kieran struggles a bit with tyre wear in that kick Sauber, or is he going to try and tempt the impossible and beat Kieran in a straight fight on very old hard tyres? You think that even though Kieran's on softs, there's going to be not enough time in the race for them to become worse than Reflection's hards. We'll wait and see, but Kieran is about to be absolutely flying, although there isn't much back to his nose. That could be a bit of an issue come later on in the race, or when he gets onto the back of Marsky and Legend. Marsky beat fastest man on the track with a 7.1. The top 4 have elected to stick it out for a bit longer. Equaz has got past CS Russian, Equaz is slowly building his way back into some points, but as it stands, if the race was to end right now, he would lose so many points to Reflection. It would more or less almost be championship over, but of course we still have 3 rounds to go, and they have 3 sets of wildcards, including quali and race points. Lewis Riley, fastest man on the track, at 6.9. We'll see what Reflection's lap time is. He's continuing out on those hard tyres. I don't know if that's going to be a great call, because I don't think Kieran's going to be held up behind Marsky and Legend very long. He does a 8.8, and I think Kieran is about to probably do like a 1:05. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the logic is behind Reflection staying out. What's it going to be from Kieran? It is a 1:68. He was 2 seconds quicker on that lap. But how long can these soft tyres last? Can they get into the end in good nick? He has a lot of. He now has Chuck ahead of him, and he also has a lot of time to try and gain on Leader. And of course, he has to not only get past Reflection, he needs to build a 3-second gap. Look at that difference. That's the difference between soft and the hard tyres. Straight through up the inside of Marsky. Marsky, no grip to respond. Kieran, I think, is going to blast past Legend on this DRS zone as well. He's going to get past the Haas very easily. Yes, he is. And Legend might not be fighting this one too hard because he knows that it's not really much. Although he's going to go defensive, Kieran's going to go to the outside. Nothing doing for Kieran there. He doesn't want to outbrake himself, doesn't want to damage his car. He's going to get the... Oh, he tried to do the old switcheroo. I think he'll get it with the better traction, with the battery, with the DRS. Legend has put up a bit more of a valiant fight than Marsky did. I don't think there's much he can do, and he has to submit to the kick Sauber, who, although will be slow at this lap, I'm sure will not be too slow. So 8.6 for Reflection. Kieran does a 1 minute 7.3, so 1.3 seconds quicker on that lap, but he did have traffic to try and get through, which would have held him up a fair amount, and he now has he now has put up the gap for the leader. He is just over 10 seconds off the back of the leader. 13 seconds he needs to make up in 11 laps, and if there's one driver you'd expect to do it, it is Kieran SF1. As he comes up to the back of Vestiaire already, he's more or less got to the back of Vestiaire's DRS in the span of a lap. He's not going to quite get it. No, he's not going to quite get it. No, might have done when he snuck in. No, he would have got it to 6 points slightly further back. He didn't quite get it on this lap, but he is on the back of the Aston Martin, and I'm sure he'll be trying to make the move into the final corner, and then he can set off after Reflection, who is, I think, is continuing on those old hard tyres. He has made his bed. Now he will have to lie in it. Kieran is going to blast past the Aston without much regard there. We go now onto the stop and go for tyre delta, because he is now through. He's now directly behind Marsky. Not Marsky, Reflection. So he is absolutely flying. Is Kieran? He's past Vestiaire. Vestiaire got quite close there, but he's not going to get any closer now. The gap is 9 seconds. With the further 3, it's 12 seconds. He has to make up in 10 laps. Can the soft tyres hold up? That is going to be the question. Can they give him enough to get to the end of this race in order to get not only ahead of Reflection, but to pull the gap necessary to negate his 3-second penalty? So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. Can Reflection get to the end of the race on those tyres? Lewis Miley picked up a 3-second penalty, so he's starting to miss the excursion. I think we're going to see a bit of a change in the order by the end of this race as Kieran slides his way up the hill. I'm fascinated to see how this is going to end. I think you guys are too, because Kieran is absolutely flying. I mean, Vestiaire has actually done a fantastic job there to keep within DRS, given the tyres that he's on compared to Kieran. I mean, Reflection is still being, Reflection pops him. He's still doing mid 1.8, 1.86s, 1.85s. He's doing fantastic laps here. Is Reflection, what is this lap going to be? It's a 1.84. He's 3 times with PB on 35 lap old hard tyres. This is an incredible pace. What is it going to be for Kieran this lap? So it was 1.84 for Reflection, 9/10. I don't know if Kieran's going to do it, I don't know. I think if he'd pitched for a new set of mediums, maybe he would have had a better chance, because I think the soft tyres aren't going to give him the grip for long enough to be able to get the win. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be close indeed. Mosky as well on the back of Legend. This is going to be a bit of a battle, because if these guys can fight but not lose any time to each other, then they can. These guys can fight without losing time to each other. Then they, Vestiaire is only just up the road. I think Vestiaire is still only on 3 seconds of penalties. He is. So it's not entirely out of the possibility that one of these guys could still end up on the podium. So yeah, that is something definitely to look out for. Reflection. Let's see what his lap time is. Can he do another 1 minute 8? Mid 1 minute 8. It's a 1:85 on that lap. Kieran, what's he gonna do? As he comes down, it's gonna be a 1:07.5. So he is gaining, but it's not by enough. And that 3-second penalty could come back to bite him. And look at that rear end. It is not planted. He is throwing this Sauber around every corner. I don't think the soft tyres are going to hold up. I think if he's for a set of mediums, he would have been a much better nip. But I don't think it's going to be enough for Kieran, who might have made a fatal blunder here. But we'll wait and see what the end result is. There's still a way to go in this race. Reflection could very much hit a wall with his tyres as well. Master's unfortunately that thick. God, that is very impressive. Even if it's not under safety car, that is still remarkable. Effectively 39 laps effectively on one set of tyres. And to be fair, I mean, it's not minimised by these guys. If Kieran's tyres do get cliff, that these guys can still get quite close to him. But Reflection, I mean, this pace is incredible. He's just banging in mid 108s, 108.4s, 5s, 6s, 7s. He's just doing what all he can do to stave off the threat from Kieran SF1. Reflection up the line. It is an 8.5. Kieran, what can he do? Up the line, it is going to be a 1 minute 7.8. That's only 7/10 pulled. I think it's going to be more Kieran's soft tyres dying. It's going to be Reflection hard, because Reflection is still doing lap after lap on that hard tyres, and I don't think Kieran's going to have enough in the tank he needs to pull 9 seconds, and he only has 8 laps to do it, not even that, 7 laps to do it in, on tyres that are very much starting to go off. But the same way it's true for Reflection. These are both drivers that are racing not only against the clock, not only against each other, but against Pirelli itself. The Pirelli rubber they both have on is going to be who's going to decide the winner of this race. And it is going to be, I think, a remarkably close finish, regardless. As Reflection now, he's got a few more laps to go. Oh, that's not a great turn from a turn 3 from him, though. That could be a bit costly there. What's his second step? Yeah, it's a very poor corner there, and it's given Kieran a nice gap. He's 5.5 behind. He is closing. Reflection now needs to be careful. He needs to be strategic. He needs to be precise. Every corner has to be correct. Every apex needs to be hit. He needs to use the curb as much as possible. He cannot pick up a 3-second penalty. An 8.9. That is not the lap time he needs to do. Kieran does a 7.9, so he does gain a second on the lap. He's doing the time he needs to. He's pulling in the gap he needs to. But are those soft tyres going to give him enough grip? And you can see him. He's correcting it through the high-speed corners. He's in a car with the least amount of downforce, with the most amount of drag, and he's on tyres that probably won't see him to the end of the race. But Kieran SF1 does not give a damn, because he's going to push it to the end of this race to the best of his ability. He is going to keep on pushing and pushing. He is in that kick Sauber. 6 laps still to go. And I think we're going to have a nail-biting finish. Rocket Lee has passed Tori, and oh no, he hasn't. He's gone round. He is round. Rocket Lee spins on the exit of turn 1. I think he's going to be able to get okay without a safety car. He is, as Equaz gets past Mushroom. But Rocket Lee round. Oh, and he's just put it in the wall. Okay, is he trying to cause a safety car? I'm not quite sure what Rocket Lee's doing. He's managed to break both ends of his front wing. Safety car now pretty much gives Reflection the win because he would pit this. Yep, that's going to be a safety car. It is a safety car. It is a safety car. Oh, man, that's going to ruin the end of this race, Rocket League. Damn you. Damn you. But they are into the pits. They're all going to pit for a set of soft tyres. It still could be a nail-biting finish. But it is going to be, they're all in for the pits behind them. I'm sure Reflection and Kieran will be in. I mean, if Kieran doesn't pit, he will be truly done for. I'm sure he has enough common sense to pit. Oh, man, we could have had a nail-biting finish this race. But Rocket League has decided to write it for us because I don't think we're going to have enough laps left for it to be a proper nail-biting finish. That's a shame. So it is lap 6 of 71. We are on to a safety car, the second safety car of the evening. And it's going to be a bunch of pit stops. Apart from Knowsley, decided to be fair, he's going to put up safety car for another lap. So he can go another lap and probably don't have to worry about losing too much time. As they're all going to hop onto the soft tyres. So, Reflection, I'm going to assume he's going to pit. He's going very slow, I think, just to make sure he gets to the Delta. He does indeed get the Delta. It's very difficult with the slow corners, it's very hard to keep to the Delta as Reflection guys will come into the pits. There's already a set of the soft tyres and certain of it. So as I say, they all have all three sets of softs available. So Reflection is in, and yes, of course, Kieran is in. He will stick it out on 9-lap-old tyres. Even he's not that stupid. Into the pits, he comes Reflection in, no warning for him for being in the pit lane, neither for Kieran, both very careful into the pits. Reflection onto a set of softs, no surprise, and I'm sure Kieran will do the same. It is indeed a set of soft tyres for Kieran, and I'm assuming everyone else is going to pit at some point. Not going to be this lap. So there is Bessier and there is Kieran. So field is more or less as it was, and Legend could end up on the podium here. In fact, Marsky could too, because of course Kieran also has a 3-second penalty. So that's going to be very interesting. Knowsley's decided not to pit, so Knowsley's going to get shafted. Ekwas is also going to get shafted. That's a surprise. I thought he would have pitted. He is going to be on the extra lap. Good thing. Ekwas, like, especially the cars behind him who do not have any penalties. He needs all the grip he can get in order to try and salvage a result from tonight. So he's in the pits. So everyone on track at the moment is on the lead lap. Yes, they are. This is going to be very long safety car because the field is very spread out. Ginger Rage has also coming into the pits, so Sean in. Lewis has already pitted, so everyone's pitted apart from Knowsley, because why not? As Mushroom gets past Ekwas comes out the pits, so Ekwas come out in P10. The drivers behind do have penalties, and obviously Knowsley has a shed load of penalties as well. So to be fair, Ekwas can still gain the position here, so you know, still a win. But you're on lap 67 of 71. Of course, the race won't end on the safety car, but we will see the race more or less concluded under it. Because it looks like Kieran SF1's dominance could be at an end. He could indeed be about to lose out on a favourable streak. And to be honest, I don't know if he would have won it even without the safety car. I think it would have been remarkably close between them. So, yes, as long as he now decides to pit. I mean, I guess he wanted just to save some tyre life, but he'll lose out to Tory here. Probably Mushroom as well. Into the pits he goes. There you go. Actually, to be fair, he might not lose out to Mushroom. He'll lose out just to Tory. So, out of the pit lane he will come. It comes out clear of Mushroom, so just behind Tory. So, Knowsley into the pit. So, everyone has pitted under this safety car. That's 60 out of 71. Safety car could be in the end of this lap. Probably not. Could be in the lap 69 with the safety car, which means we would get DRS on the last lap, which is just going to be really, really funny. Especially if there's another penalty such as Legend and Marsky. If one can finish ahead of the other, they can, you know, get a much better chance of getting a podium. So yeah, Reflection. I think this guy's going to be in this lap, going to be in at the end of 69, I think. I think by now he's coming in this lap. If we've got the we would have had a notification by now if that was coming in. It will not be coming in this lap. So lap 68 of 71, 3 to 3 to 21. I think that'll be the end of lap 69. The last lap will be interesting. Ginger Rage is going to catch up back again. Even if you put together, jolly good. Back of the safety car, so take a quick swig of water. Yeah, it is a car in the end of the lap. End of lap 69, the field has converged. No, 20 miles to catch up a bit. He's quite far back. So it is now down to Reflection to dictate the pace. When he's going to go and how quickly will he go? Because if he backs up, he could, he could really screw over. Kieran Bessier here. We could have Reflection, Legend and Marsky as the podium. And Tory as well, if he can get past what RTB, he cannot be completely counted as well. So we are in for a grandstand finish here. We would have been in for one anyway, but we decided to go for a safety car restart, and it is now down to Reflection. When's he going to go? He's coming to the break zone of the last corner. He's not gone yet. Yes, he has. He's gone out the exit, and Kieran kind of caught a little bit napping, but not too badly. And we are racing once again in ALR. The 2 laps to go. The safety car is in, and it is now a straight fight between Reflection and Kieran SF1. Knowlesy has already tumbled down the order. Not sure what happened to him there, but he's already down to dead last. I mean, he would have been anyway because he has loads of penalties. But it's Kieran versus Reflection. We'll go to the heady cam shot, watching overhead. No DRS this lap, but it will be available for the last lap of the race. And we know Kieran has some incredible pace in that Kick Sauber, but he does have a 3-second penalty to his name, and Reflection knows that. Is Reflection going to play a little bit of a game with him? Is he going to back him up? Is he going to try and dump him off the podium? Because that is really what matters. The podium is still potentially up for grabs here, and Kieran pushing. Reflection goes to the inside to defend. Doesn't get anything done there. Reflection pushing on. I mean, Kieran and Vessier, they need to get a wiggle on. They can't afford to sit behind the Mercedes, because if Mercedes decides to hold them up, then they will be a bit pooped. And I think there's going to be a move. No, he backs out of it again. He tries to make Reflection make a mistake, trying to get that last warning that could give him a 3 seconds. That could have been very close to a warning there for Reflection. As Kieran's at the first lap of the race, Kieran is sniffing all over the diffuser of the Mercedes. All he has to do now is start harvesting some battery as they climb up the hill for the last time. It is lap 71 of 71. It is Kieran versus Reflection. It is potentially a massive swing in the championship in Reflection's favour, but he needs to see it through to the end. He is harvesting as much battery as he humanly can. RTB picks up another 3-second penalty, and that's going to see him drop down behind Tory as well. This is going to be a grandstand finish to this Grand Prix. Who is it going to be, Reflection or Kieran SF1? Kieran has a little wiggle out of into the first DRS zone. It's not going to do him much good. That means it gives Reflection a break not to use any battery. Is he going to go for the lunge into the old turn 3? No, he doesn't. He has one more attempt to go for the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Is he going to get it done? Reflection now has a straight to burn all his battery. Serious Mushroom gets past Equinox. It's not going to matter because they both have penalties. Reflection goes defensive. Kieran goes to the outside. Doesn't really matter because Kieran has a 3-second penalty. Kieran will take the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Can he get it slowed down in time? Just about. Oh, it goes a bit wide though. And up the line. It will be Kieran who comes to the line first. But it will be Reflection who wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Legend is on the podium. Tory is third. Look at that. Tory got P3 in the end. Equaz gets P7. That could be critical for his championship. Ginger Age gets P10 and Knowlesy comes home in P12. Wow. What a grandstand end to that race. That was incredible. What a race. Jesus. What an end to that race, crikey O'Reilly. Yeah, not many people are happy with that safety car, unsurprising there. Wow. I might need to, why am I not getting any volume through my controller? Anyway, I'll get through the order. Reflection wins, Legend is second, Tori is third, what a job from Tori. Kieran fourth, Ressia fifth, Marsky sixth, Ekwa seventh, Bushram 8th, Beat 9th, Rage is 10th, Riley 11th, and Nosey is 12th. Rocket League is classified to start DNFing, and there is everyone there for you. I don't know why I can't hear any party audio, that is concerning and confusing. I'll see if anyone wants to join the party. They normally like to have a little chit chat in the party. Hopefully I'm in the right one. Of course not, I'm never in the right bloody one. There we go, I think I'm in the right one now. Let me just, there we go. Let me grab my thingambob. There is Reflection, of course, you like to have a little chit chat after the race. I don't know if we're going to be joined by anyone else. We'll have a look, wait and see if any of the others want to join us. We'll give them a minute or so just to get into the party, if they want to, of course. Where is Mercedes? There it is. Right then, Mr. Reflection, we'll start with you. We'll wait for your compatriots to join if they do. That was a hell of a race there. You're finally back on the top step of the podium. Tell us how that race was from your point of view.
That race was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I had great pace the second and third stint. After the rain, I struggle in the rain. And the hard tyres were feeling absolutely amazing. I was a little bit worried about when he hit for the softs, whether he'd catch me and gain the 3 seconds. But then the safety car came out, and the DRS 2 cars, I just defended those and looked up on it and tried to get the win anyway. Great still.
Yeah, fantastic result, especially when Equars could only muster a P7. Obviously, not quite yours yet, but you're getting close to that championship. Do you think Kieran would have got you? Because you had fantastic pace. I on stream, I kept saying you were doing mid 108s for like 20 laps. You just 108.4 to 108.7. Do you think Kieran would have got you? Because the gap was coming down, but not as quickly as expected. If that race had gone to the end on the green flags, do you think you could have beaten him on track fair and square?
Possibility, because his tyres were dropping off. As you say, he wasn't catching me as quickly once he got into second place. So there's a possibility, but it still makes you keep looking at the time of Board Lake, and it was still coming down 10 by 10. So who knows? The safety car come out, so I don't know. But it was a great race anyway. So
It was a.
I'll have to think about that now.
Yeah, it was a fantastic race, and you won it very well. That was very good fun. Yeah, you said you didn't have much pace in the rain. Was that because you had a dry setup on, or it just wasn't to your liking this evening?
Yeah, I had the dry setup on, but I'm not very fast in the rain anyway. I was surprised I was able to qualify 6th in the rain, qualifying or 7th wherever I started, because I am pretty poor in the rain. I just don't practice it at all. So I was surprised to start that high up, and then I had a bad start, and Equas R2 beats, and I think it was Lewis got past me, and then I was just stuck there behind R2 beats and Lewis, and then when I saw Equas, and I think a few others picked on the slick tyres, I just thought it was a bit too early, and it improved everything when I did the slicks. The RS just got in there for me, I was ahead of them, and then my pace come alive then. It was phenomenal. I was very surprised.
Yeah,
Equaz made that strategic blunder. He pitted, I think, within about 15 seconds of the rain, just stopping on the screen. You know, that's not enough time for the track to dry. I understand you're missing a race, is it, or is it two?
Yeah, no, just one race next week.
Well, thank goodness, because you're missing Brazil, where it's a wet race, so you won't have to worry too much about your wet weather pace.
I'm happy about that.
And your win today has given you quite a margin, to the point where even if Equaz does quite well next week, it won't be necessarily a huge swing in his favour. You appear to have some good pace. Kieran's been demoted now to the Sauber. How confident are you about this championship? How confident do you feel that you can now actually do this?
I'm starting to believe now. You never know. We can all make mistakes, so you never know. But I am starting to believe I could actually do this, and I would love to do it. So fingers crossed. I've not looked at the championship since I had that gearbox issue where in Singapore. So I didn't look at it. I'm just thankful all the equipment's working fine. My pace is on point, and I'll look forward to the last 3 races. I think there is, for me anyway, for everyone else. So I just look forward to that.
Yeah, indeed. It's just 2 races now. We've got Brazil, Las Vegas, and Abu Dhabi.
Oh, is it
We're
just
done.
2 races?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. I'm thinking one silver gold is still 4 races.
Yeah. Obviously we've got a little bit ahead. Well,
Right, okay, yeah.
you're back in time for Las Vegas, where the wild card is the race is going to be held in daylight, which I think is going to be unbelievably cursed.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that actually. Our tyres are just going to burn up. Plus the track looks good in the
No, it definitely doesn't. But well done, congratulations, well deserved victory today. You had incredible pace. I think even without the safety car, you had a pretty decent shot at winning. So well done, and congratulations as well to Legend and Tori as well, who both got into the podiums. Both got to the podium there just by not getting any penalties. So well done to them both. That is all from Austria, 100% reversed. What a race we had. Kieran's dominance has been ended, and Reflection has taken a huge lead, not huge, a pretty big lead in the championship, but he misses next week's race. What's going to happen? Find out. We'll be back 7:30 next Wednesday. Of course, you can find gold, silver and bronze, who are racing at Mexico City on Sunday through to Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. British Summer Time. That is all from me this evening. Thank you all for watching. It was a hell of a race. I'm sure you will all agree. The championship now is blown wide open, and I will catch you all on the next one. Thank you all for watching. Good night, and have a lovely evening.